The most well-attested, well-documented fact in all of ancient history is the resurrection of Jesus Christ.
I am the Alpha and the Omega, the first and the last, the beginning and the end.
Our nation is too full of those that are crying down. Down with the police, down with the churches, down with government. Can you build anything down? And let's begin now to use the word up. Up from all of this filth, up from this violence, up from this indifference of courts, up to the hidden battlements of eternity, up to God.
Say Christ is Lord. Say Christ is Lord. Say it. You say Christ is Lord.
Good evening, everyone, and happy Easter. Thank you all so much for being here tonight. Worthy is the Lamb who is slain to receive power and wealth and wisdom and strength and honor and glory and praise. To him who sits on the throne and to the Lamb be praise and honor and glory and power forever and ever. Praise to the conquering Lion of Judah and the Lamb who is slain, King Jesus. Let's celebrate him tonight, this evening, Easter Sunday. Thank you guys again for being with us this evening. But yeah, kind of a different intro. This is a completely different show than what we normally do, but seeing as though as we'll talk about tonight, seeing as though the current culture, the current society, and the current policy of the politics of things tend to want to get rid of Easter and seem to want to erase it. We'll be talking pretty much all about it tonight. And we have some other topics as well, but I wanted that to be our main topic of discussion tonight because, as I've said before, I myself am a Christian. I have many panelists that come on the show that are Christian, and we have tons of fans and audience members that are also Christian. So I figured what better way to celebrate the good news of the resurrection of Jesus than today? And to help us talk about some of the topics in the news this evening is my good friend Josh McDonald and my good friend Dolan, aka Drew. So good evening to you guys, and thanks for spending your Easter with me. I appreciate it, guys.
Absolutely, man. I'm happy to be here. I feel underdressed. I just like when you were on the screen by yourself, I was like, oh, I don't know if I've ever seen Max in a button down on stream before.
Yeah.
My t-shirt and I got my cap and anyway, Drew's got like a Hawaiian shirt on or something. I can't really tell. So
I've got my Ren and Stimpy log button-up shirt on right now. So, yeah.
Oh, did you wear that to Easter brunch?
Yes, I did. Yeah.
Oh, nice. Oh, perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm normally I tend to be super dressed down, like hoodie or a black t-shirt or something. But tonight I was like, you know what? I'll break out a collared shirt. Why not? I mean, I might as well have one on.
Well, thanks for giving us the memo, Max.
Hey, you guys look great. And plus I would never tell you guys, hey, there's a dress code tonight when we're sitting, like I'm wearing boxers and a collared shirt. Come on, let's be real. So, no, I'm kidding. I'm a briefs guy. Come on. But before we get into this evening, what did you guys think about that intro? So those were, a lot of those videos are by a content creator called Trad West, Traditional West. And he posts about traditional Western culture and what he sees and what he like wants to envision, like embracing our legacy to have it be more of a modern Western culture. But yeah, man, he does some really cool stuff, and I like his imagery a lot. So, but yeah, I saw Josh get a little nervous though when there was a picture of like the Pornhub logo.
Yeah,
you're like, whoa, Max, what tab is? Did you open the wrong tab this evening? So no.
Oh yeah. There's an error in editing. No, I thought it was pretty based. One of the little clips was sound wise was clipping for me. I don't know if it was for other people, but there's one in particular that I was like, oh, this is so fitting for you and your channel. So I'll have to go back and rewatch it and be like, this area right here, you could do all the time.
Yeah. There are some of his videos that I'm like, I could probably have this as part of like a regular show, and it would probably match fairly well with what we talk about. So, but now, before we, go ahead.
Yeah. I was gonna say, now I didn't dance backstage like I normally do, but I was bobbing. This had way more swagger than like,
Yeah, the like timed intro, the 30-second intro normally has a little bit of a, you can roll your shoulders a little bit, but this one you're like strutting. You're like, it's like a strut. It's like a head nod. It's like, damn, yeah, feel good.
That's right. Oh, yeah.
The one I couldn't believe was a Shia LaBeouf. I was like, hey, a Shia, what is he doing here?
Dude, right? Oh my God, that clip is so funny to me. Say Christ is Lord. Say it. It's like you'd never envision him to be in that role, but he does so well. So yeah.
Did you, this is off topic, but did you ever see when he joined John Bernthal for his podcast?
Oh my gosh, dude, that was incredible.
That was good. That was really good.
I didn't see it, but I heard John Bernthal talk about it to Joe Rogan. It sounds intense. Sounds like he just pretty much is. Oof.
Both of those guys were kind of breaking down. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like just, and you see these two like more masculine men talking about their backgrounds or their faith, or like same thing with Sean Strickland. Sean Strickland was on a podcast. He's a comedian, but he was on one of the comedians' podcasts, and Sean Strickland broke down because he was talking about his background and his upbringing. And yeah, man, it's really to see men break down like that in those vulnerable places. It's hard to watch, but so let us say hi to some of the guys in the chat. We've got Cajun Corey, happy Easter, brother. We've got Jamin D, happy Easter, and thank you for being here. And it wouldn't be a proper stream without George, what's happening? George Dimetropolis for $5. He says, Christ has risen. God bless you all on the panel and in the chat. Congrats, Aaron, on that jury short comic we'll read. Oh, yeah. Well, unfortunately, Aaron is not here, but we will send him your best regards. And yeah, that jury comic looks really dope, huh? I'm excited for it. But George, for those, I guess $6 in total, or $7 in total, I've got a new clip for you. But thank you so much for donating, brother. I really appreciate your support. Happy Easter to you, and this is for you.
Come and get your wig split. Come and get your wig split.
Greatness runs in your veins, George. Thank you again for the $7 hairs. Appreciate it, brother. We've got Spirian. What's up, dude? We've got Zax. Did Marvel ever do a Wolverine Jesus crossover? I don't know. Drew, did they? I don't think I remember that one.
No, they haven't done that yet. I'm trying to think. There was a Jesus character in the Ghost Rider comics back in the 70s, but they put a quick end to that. And
really?
but I think the closest character to that would be Exodus, maybe. I don't know. It would really be like a Christ-like figure. Oh, and Adam Warlock. So maybe Adam Warlock is.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you do have like Silver Surfer too is somewhat of a Christ-like entity, I guess you could say. But yeah, I mean, I don't think they've ever done like a actual Jesus. I know Kevin Smith did the Buddy Jesus,
Buddy Christ.
Yeah, Buddy Christ. And then what was the other? Oh, they have done like Pope Francis, and like they've done Francis of Assisi. Like Marvel has done different comic books about different saints or
popes
I've
read them.
and stuff like that. So yeah, those are really interesting too. I like those as well. But
and Robert Kirkman had a Battle Pope comic as well. And
dude, that's right. Yeah. Oh my gosh, I forgot about that one. That's actually pretty fun. Rizgit for a biscuit. Happy Easter. He is risen. Christ is King. Amen. Happy Easter, Andre. And let's see, Jolly Green. Drew, put some pants on.
It's a warm day here in Indy. I'm rocking shorts. It was a
warm day in Indy is like 40 degrees. It's like, ooh, it's getting a little warm out here.
65, but hey, who's counting?
Yeah. Yes, thank you, Jamin. It was Theo. Yuri Volti, happy Easter. Same to you, man. And Deus Volt from Jack Frost. Yes, amen, dude. Deus Volt, indeed. I need my Crusader helmet in order to say Deus Volt properly. So, oh, that's cool. I didn't know that DC did the Old Testament. Wow. And the Nazarene, who Swamp Thing was supposed to meet him before DC editors stepped in, huh?
Yes, that was the Rick Beach did that. Where it was going to be an issue where Swamp Thing, the whole run, Rick Beach had him going through time and space, different time points, and in that particular issue, Swamp Thing was going to be the cross that Jesus was crucified on. He was going to be that wood. Yeah.
Whoa, that's pretty interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had no idea. I did not know that. I see you learn something new every time. Every time I get on one of these streams, y'all in chat give me a new perspective or send me new information. You guys are like, "Yeah, check this out. This is something that you didn't know about in comics or whatnot." So, yeah. What are some of y'all's like normal traditions for Easter? Do you guys normally do anything like Easter egg hunts or family like brunches or anything like that?
We usually do lunch and then like we'll have an Easter egg hunt with it. So, all the nieces and nephews and everything will come, and then I slaughter all of them and take all the eggs. But no, they usually kind of do their egg hunt thing. We always do like a ham lunch. So we'll have like ham, mashed potatoes. Okay.
Sorry, did you
Yeah, I couldn't hear you, Josh. Yeah, you cut out there.
Josh, I think you might have cut out. Yeah, sorry about that. I was like, wait, was it just me or?
It's my internet. What the heck?
Oh no.
Yeah, no, we had ham lunch. I don't know. We had a spiral ham. I don't know what people heard or didn't hear, but
that sounds good though. Yeah, the spiral ham does sound pretty good. Mm-hmm. Drew, do you normally do anything for Easter?
Yeah, we have every year. We always have like a family dinner. This year we had it at our parents' new place. They've been renovating a 120-year-old home, and it's actually really nice now. But, yeah, literally 120 years old, but it's a beautiful home now. And so we had our first like family meal there at the house today, which was Easter. We had Easter dinner, ironically enough. So our aunts and uncles were in town, so we had a huge ham, some cream corn casserole. homemade biscuits and green beans, cream corn casserole, and we have our special family. I know a lot of people haven't never had this before, but we have our own. It's our own version of strawberry jello. When I say strawberry jello, I mean comes in 3 layers. There's 3 layers to this. Top layer is strawberry jello with like some berries. Middle layer is whipping cream, not Cool Whip, whipping cream, and then the bottom layer is crushed pretzel, on the bottom for the base.
Wow, that actually sounds really good, and I'm hungry. So
it's amazing.
Nice, man. Did you guys come up with that? Like your family come up with that, or?
Yeah, our family's been making that for the last 30 years, maybe longer.
Wow.
Yeah, we've always made that.
That's cool.
Isn't that called like a trifle or so? Isn't that
truffle or something? I don't know.
Trifle.
A trifle? I don't know.
We just call it strawberry jello.
Sounds good though.
Yeah.
But because normally I ask because normally you get some people who are like, oh yeah, we celebrate by painting eggs, or we do an Easter egg hunt or something. And so this year, it was mandated by our president himself that Easter Sunday not only be declared as Transgender Day of Visibility, but that he also, and I think people forget about this, but that he also banned religious themed Easter eggs being designed at the Easter egg roll event. And if you think that I'm kidding, there are receipts. So here's the actual statement from, Joseph R. Biden himself, our president. Now, before I give my takes on this, I'll just read this, but it says, I, Joseph R. Biden, President of the United States of America, by virtue of the authority vested in me by the Constitution and the laws of the United States, do hereby proclaim that March 31st, 2024 is Transgender Day of Visibility. I call upon all Americans to join us in lifting up the lives and voices of transgender people throughout our nation and to work toward eliminating violence and discrimination based on gender identity. In witness whereof, I have hereunto set my hand this 29th day of March in the year of our Lord, 2024. Wow. And of the independence of the United States of America, 248. Yeah, so that's kind of where we're at with the Trans Day of Visibility, where our own president pretty much just said, hey, you know that thing that like 63% of the U.S. practice? Yeah, we're gonna get rid of that. Oh, and even if you wanted to celebrate, by painting Easter eggs, we're not going to allow you to actually celebrate your religion. So don't put any crosses on the Easter eggs. Don't put any type of, because that would be bigotry, racism, hatred, or harm against any group of individual or whatnot. It's just like when you read something like this for the restrictions for what to submit for the eggs. And there he is himself, giving a good old salute. But yeah, man, for me, when I found out about this, when I read this, my immediate reaction was, this is a direct attack on Christianity. I know that sounds very, what's the word? Very bold of me to say, but that was my initial thoughts. But what do you guys think about this, Josh? Did you see this on Twitter, or did you get to read any of this, or what are your thoughts about the whole thing?
So I mean, like, I've seen the whole like Trans Day of Visibility or whatever the heck they're calling it, whatever this is. Mm-hmm. I did not see this whole Easter egg thing, and that I was already I was already upset with them putting the Trans Visibility Day today. Like, by all means, I've got a couple of friends that are trans. They are good people, and I enjoy them, and I'm friends with them, and whatever. Like, enjoy your day. But I think the fact that you picked today of all days, the same day as Easter, to do this is a blatant I don't want to say attack, but I can't think of a better word. So
right.
It was a choice. A choice was made.
A very conscious decision, yeah.
Oh, like, yeah. But this whole Easter egg thing, like the whole point of Easter, look, it would be one thing if you're saying you have to decorate eggs that are religious, and then people didn't celebrate the religious aspects of Easter. They're like, well, this doesn't suit me. But saying you outright can't do anything religious, no matter what your religion is, I think that's wrong. Even if you had someone that was of another religion and they wanted to represent their faith on an Easter egg that they designed, so be it. I don't know. I'm a little fuming.
Yeah, you're kind of at a loss for words because you're like, oh, they wouldn't really actually do that, right? And then you read this and you go, oh no, that's exactly what happened. Drew, what do you think about this? I know you're not on Twitter, so is this the first time you're hearing about all this stuff or what?
Yeah, when you sent it earlier, and I said, surely this has got to be a joke. Then looked at Fox News, and sure enough, nope, this was real. This is legit.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, and thankfully, it's not just us talking about this, but apparently a lot of people are talking about this, and a lot of people are not happy about this.
Yep. No.
It clearly, I mean, look, to do it on this day, it is a shot, and
right.
It is right, and I'm at a loss. Honestly, I've been at a loss for words because of it. It's like you say you're a quote unquote Catholic, and you do this on one of the most the holiest of days. To do this, it is disgraceful.
Mm. Yeah, and I think it's, Josh, you'd mentioned something really interesting is that you have friends that are actually transgender. I don't know anyone that is transgender. I have like acquaintances with people that are trans. But like there was an individual I worked with in the Marine Corps who was a trans individual, but I don't have anyone like super close where I like know them very intimately. But even still, it's like if you do want to have a trans visibility day, right? Like if Biden does want to have this and the Democratic Party wants to have a trans visibility day, fine.
Yeah, I completely agree.
Right. It's like
do it tomorrow.
Literally. Well, tomorrow on April 1st might be a little that would send another message. It'd be like April Fool's trans visibility.
She's got a penis. God, I didn't think about that. Okay, do it Tuesday. Like
sure, yeah. It's like do it April 2nd. But out of every single day. And that's why I say this was a concentrated, direct decision. And some people will call it an attack. Some people will call it a decision. But I believe that this was something that, and Biden is out to lunch. He is not mentally aware to make this decision. I think it was his cabinet. I think it was the people around him who just had him sign something and not actually realizing what it is that he did. But yeah, man, I think this is a concerted effort to not erase Christians, but to absolutely just smack them in the face and go, hey, look, we're dunking on the chuds, right?
It was purposeful, and you could tell that there is an intent to diminish Easter in the religious aspects that it carries. Why else would you do it on today if that weren't what you're trying to do? And see, the bad thing is, if you have anyone like us that comes out and says, oh, this is a bad call, why would you do this? People are going to say, well, you're bigots, you're this, you're that, you're homophobes, you transphobes, whatever. And that's not the case. Like we just kind of addressed, hey, if you want to do a Trans Day of Awareness or whatever this is, do it another day. Just Transgender Day of Visibility. There we go.
Yes.
Just do it another day. And to give you an idea of how much this bothered me, you sent us this yesterday, right?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. So this bothered me so much that I just read this and I was like, I'm out. Like, I'm so mad now. I didn't even read the other page about the stipulations of the Easter egg hunt. So I'm reading that for the first time today. And I'm just like, I want to go throw something. But
dude, and it really, it's like, there's like anger where you're like, I'm just pissed about this thing. And then there's like righteous fury where something is so unjust that you get this kind of this fury of, this is not right. Like you can feel it in your soul, like in your being, in your core, that this is evil or this is, and I'm not saying, and I think a lot of people will be like, oh, well, you're saying trans people are evil or whatever. Maybe there are a lot of conservatives that do believe that. I think basically what my stance on it is just, I don't know enough about that community. I don't know enough about that, the statistics of that, or where I stand on that, or what even Jesus would say about that. So for me, my whole thing is just like we've said before, if you're going to have it on a different day. And if you're going to do the Easter egg thing, let kids put a little cross on there or something that they're going to paint it. Like Easter is not just about an Easter bunny. It's so much more than that. And, kids need to realize that. And I think it's doing a disservice to what this holiday is, because we let everyone else in this nation have their own holidays, but we can't let Christians have Easter. They're basically Super Bowl or whatever you want to call it. So
what's interesting, and honestly, I don't think people would have had this response had they not done this on Easter. And Drew, this will be news to you since you're not on Twitter, but you have a lot of like major accounts that they're like, okay, you want to do Trans Visibility Day, Awareness Day, whatever the hell it's called. You want to do that today? We'll do that. And they're posting like every super negative news article pertaining like any mass shooting that was a trans person. They're posting that, like, they're just like on the hour, just boop, 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 putting them through. And it's again, it's like, if you want to come attack people and their faith and their religion, because I'm just going to say that's what it feels like, then yeah, you're going to get a response like that.
Here, let me go ahead and I'm going to share this. And
I mean, if the other thing I was just thinking about, if this administration, if he does get reelected, I mean, what other holidays will not be safe from here on? Like, is he going to make 4th of July Antifa Celebration Day?
Oh God!
I mean, we laugh.
No, I know.
That's the sad thing.
This is what happened on Easter. It's like he pulls some shit like that, I wouldn't be surprised.
And this is interesting. Yeah, unfortunately, you can't win this debate with good faith arguments. Yeah, like if we were to try and say like, hey, just put it on another day, right? Like we want to be, we're accepting and we're welcoming, and we just want it on a different day so we can celebrate Easter. Like a lot of Christians are looking at me probably right now and being like, you pussy, stand up for your own faith and say, knock this shit out, right? And I think that's fair, because a lot of this stuff, you have to fight evil with bold faith, righteous, righteous strength and courage. And so there's a part of me that's like, I want to win people over. I want to be someone who is preaching the good word of Jesus. But at the same time, Jesus was not always meek and humble. He sometimes had to, drive out demons and flip some tables, dude, So, but yeah, so that's a good point, Zach. So, what's going on, Ben? Great to see you, by the way, brother. It's been a while. Yeah, that's a great point too. Like they have a whole month or a whole week in November, right? So like, why not there? So yeah, it's pretty unfortunate. But so I'm just going to read some of the responses from individuals on Twitter. Matt Walsh jokingly says, quote, trans people are strong and brave. Also, if you use a pronoun they don't like, they might kill themselves, and it would be your fault in Minecraft. Because this was in response to Biden's tweet earlier that said, on Transgender Day of Visibility, we celebrate the joy, strength, and absolute courage of some of the bravest people I know. We show millions of transgender and non-binary Americans that we see them, they belong, and they should be treated with dignity and respect. And wokeness actually ratioed them 74,000 likes to 64,000. And he says, no, we aren't doing this crap, Joe. Today's Easter, period, and ratio. So, Josh, were you about to say something?
I'm just there's something I want to look up real quick, but keep going.
Okay.
I'm really
Dean Cain.
I really hope when the next press conference, the White House press corps and everything, I really hope the press corps just really light up, the press secretary, just light her up with like, why did you guys do this shit? Why? Just I want to see like 2 hours of just impressing her nonstop about why this decision was made.
Well, that's a great point, Drew, because I've asked myself, like, if I were to sit in front of a classic liberal or even a far left, like leftist activist SJW, well, maybe not that far, because that, like, same thing would happen. We wouldn't get anywhere. But I want to talk to a person who votes Democrat, right? I would love to sit them down and literally just pick their brain and be like, do you guys agree with this? Like, even for people who may not be religious, even for people who vote Democrat, even for people who support Joe Biden, like, does this seem right? And for a lot of people, even even just a little bit left of center, they're like supporting this and clapping and going, you know what, we can celebrate both. Today I'm going to celebrate Easter and I'm going to celebrate Trans Day of Visibility or whatever. And I just don't think that's right. I think that both should have their own places. Just like, men and women should have their own sports and their own, things, but that's a different topic. But yeah, that's a great point, Drew. Like you said, you want to ask these people the hard-hitting questions, whether it's the press secretary, whether it's someone who votes Democrat, whether it's Joe Biden himself. Why today? Dean Cain says, if folks are made in the image of God, then why are all the surgeries, or why all the surgeries and hormones? That's a good question. Matt Walsh, this is harsh. This is pretty intense. Says trans-identified people have accomplished nothing of significance. Non-binary and two-spirit are nonsense labels that mean nothing. So is trans, of course. And you cannot tell us that trans people will end up in Minecraft if you misgender them. Let's see. The only way to double down on your commitment to their well-being is to tell them the truth and stop catering to their delusions. Today is Easter. You should be thinking about the state of your soul, Secretary. So, because actually, Biden doubled down. So here he is, Joe Biden, from his personal account, and then here's the President Biden. Yeah. So he doubled down on both of these, and actually both got ratioed, interestingly enough, though. So, I mean, I guess there's hope for humanity, but oh god,
that was terrifying.
It was Penguin from the Batman series. But so yeah, here's the actual the initial tweet. Here's Alex Jones Alex Jones says, publicly attacking Christianity on its most holiest of days by redefining it as belonging to the trans cult. We are dealing with open Satan worship. In good news, though, I wasn't going to cover this, but this came up on my timeline. Tammy Peterson was introduced into the Catholic Church today or this weekend. And they had a beautiful ceremony with Jordan. So I thought that was pretty cool. So this is just funny. Which way, modern man? Which way, modern Christian? Yeah. Some comics, Odin. I thought there was something else. Oh, if you guys didn't hear about this.
Oh yeah, that pissed me off too.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I heard about that today. Yeah.
Interrupted an Easter service in St. Patrick's Cathedral, dude.
At some point, these retards are gonna. I was trying not to be mean and whatever, because it's Easter. I'm so pissed off at this point. At some point, these retards are going to realize that pissing a bunch of people off is going to do nothing to ingratiate people to wanting to listen to their side or take them seriously or support them. Like you're making yourself your own enemy. Just I want to start punching people so bad right now.
And that's the thing, man. It's like, if you continue to piss off this large group of Christians who have stood back and just said, you know what, we'll let you guys do your thing. We're going to sit back and we're just going to be quiet, right? At some point, they're going to continue to be berated by this stuff until it's going to be like, we're done. This is over. Crusade 2.0 is coming in 2025, right? Now I'm not evoking that. I'm just saying that there are going to be a lot of Christians who are fed up with the shit, man.
Well, and it's also this thing. It's like this double standard that they have, that they demand. They require and they demand that we meet their needs, that we meet their delusions, and we do whatever. Like, that's what they demand of us. And if we were to say, "Hey, look, we'll have a conversation with you, but now's not the right time," they wouldn't show that same no, absolutely not.
Right.
Like there's no grace there. I don't know. It's just it's pissing me off. I laughed at Risk It for Biscuits because he said, "Yes, Queen, go off."
Yeah. Yes, yes, queen. Go,
Yes.
But
yeah.
the other thing is, this video, these people we just saw, this is the base.
Uh-huh.
This is Joe's base. This is the
Uh-huh.
base of the
Yeah.
squad, the Senate squad or whatever, the AOC and the one who slipped, who's married to her brother. This is their base, and
Yeah.
this is who's going to be voting for them.
Right.
Oh yeah,
This is the people that they have garnered. You know, this is what they've cultivated. These are the people that they've cultivated at this point. Zach says, "Guys, you're acting like your votes will be counted." Ugh, don't blackpill me, Zach.
yeah.
not so early on. We still have a few more months. Imagine all the hardcore Italians that were in those services who are now about to deliver hell. Oh my gosh, dude!
Oh,
Italians suffer none of this bullshit. I will tell you that.
Yeah, it sounds evil, but like, I mean, it sounds bad in this day. But when I see stuff like that, I can only hope these individuals who did this, there's a certain amount of reciprocity to what they did. That's all I got to say.
I mean, look at this, man. This is just straight up pathetic evil.
Yeah.
But Salty says, "God bless America and happy Easter." Oh, and F the POS, Joe and Barry. Couldn't agree with you more, Salty. And hail to you. God bless America. Happy Easter to you as well, Salty. Salty, if you want the invitation, I can send you the link if you'd like to speak on this, because I know that you are also very well versed in theology and philosophy. But but I hope you're doing well, man. Have a great rest of the evening and happy Easter to you. Sorry, Drew. What were you saying?
No, you're fine. It's just seeing this video. It really boils my blood, and it's a step above. I think I sent you guys the videos, or we saw the video of those protesters who threw the paint or whatever on the Constitution.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Just it's shit like that. It really just boils my blood, and I really hope. I just want people like that to just disappear into a hurt locker, and they just never. Yep. They're never seen again. They're just never seen or heard from again.
It's just it's a societal thing that we're facing, just a general lack of respect for other people. And I don't know when that was lost or why it was lost to the degree that it's been lost, but I don't know. I remember when I was younger, there were plenty of times I remember my dad like completely disagreeing with things, but out of respect for other people, he wouldn't like go off or say anything. He'd be like, just let them have their moment. This is for them. This isn't for us. Just,
Yeah.
But these people, I don't know. Just
and that is what like is this kind of meekness that Christians have cultivated, is this sense of, you know what, we are going to turn the other cheek. We know the strength that we have, right? We know the strength that we have through the Holy Spirit, through Christ's suffering and his sacrifice. We know the strength that we have when we put on the armor of God to fight off the demons of hell, right? But for the most part, we want to try and take a stance of meekness and humility, and that of which, like, things that Christ had, compassion and things like that. And I think that's what your dad has been seen doing. But at the same time, like I said, there's going to be a point for a lot of Christians where they're like, we're done with that. Like, this is not the time anymore, right? And it may be closer than we think. Jack says, this is the same administration that labeled Christians as domestic terrorists, put FBI goons into churches to spy on them, and have arrested for praying in front of abortion clinics. Yeah, man, Jack, man. Yeah. And that is what's so interesting when you actually do see, and I don't know if I want to call it persecution, because that's a really strong word. And persecution is like putting people in handcuffs and putting them in the back of the car. But
labeling people as terrorists and in some cases putting them on a terrorist watch list is 100% persecution. Yeah. And it's crazy that we're seeing this come from a religious standpoint. I remember this happening back in, I think, 2007, just because of a political candidate that was running. They put people that were following this candidate on a terrorist watch list, or were deeming them as potential terrorists. I don't know. It's just like we are losing our freedoms day by day, and it seemed like it was just minor things here and there 20 to 30 years ago, and now it's like gulfs of just freedoms that we're losing. And it's scary. Like we're it's not what our country was founded on. It's not what our country is supposed to be. I kind of wish Salty wasn't here, because I know he would just run through this topic, but
yeah. Salty's really like, he's got a cavalcade of knowledge that he could speak on this even more intellectually than we could, or articulate this stuff better. But I was also going to read this one because, like we talked about earlier, we have these people kind of making do I want to call them excuses? Basically, people saying, we can do Easter and Trans Visibility Day. Like this individual says, strangely, Easter and Trans Day of Visibility can coexist at the church I co-pastor. We'll be celebrating the resurrection of Jesus tomorrow, while our trans sound tech makes sure it all sounds good quite visibly. And Andrew Wilson says, of course it can. Flee the Protestant churches in droves as quickly as you can. This is an abomination, and all of you know it. So
it would be one thing if they had set trans visibility or Trans Day visibility on a date, and then it just happened that one year that and Easter shared the same date. That would be an instance where you could say, like, okay, fine, I can see this. But the fact that you chose to start it and put it on Easter, that's you actively making a decision. Hey, Salty said send him the link on Twitter.
Oh, sweet. Okay, cool. Here's another. Yeah, but you're right, Josh. Yeah. The fact that they were just like, yeah, we're gonna do this. We're gonna do this on this specific day, and they had the entire year to think about when they wanted to do it, but they announced it 3 days before Easter, or 2 days before, like literally 2 days before. It's like you cannot. Oh yeah, here's a good point. You cannot serve two masters. Yep. You can't be the most tolerant of tolerant people, because what does Christ say? To enter the kingdom of heaven is like that of threading the eye of a needle. It's only a few will pass. But let me take my DMs off so no one's looking at me. But
and then while you're sending that to Salty real quick, I'll just say, like, I mentioned that I have a few friends that are trans. I count 3 of them. I would say I have 3 friends that are trans, and they're all to varying degrees. And are we the closest friends? No. But what I will say is they're respectful people. And the reason we're friends is because they treat other people with respect. Mm-hmm. And even one of them had made a comment that they didn't feel super comfortable with this, strictly because of the backlash that it was going to cause, just for the fact that it was on Easter. And for me, it's like, I see this person and I see them get a lot of shit from a lot of people just because they are trans, and like, you live your life, your choices, whatever. And since I do think they're genuinely a decent human being and a good human being, I hate seeing people treat them like shit when they don't know this person and what their heart is like and how they treat others. But at the same time, it's like, I hate that this person's going to catch crap just because the president decided to do this. I don't know.
That is true, because I'm sure there are, who is it? Blair White, who's an open transgender individual. And she says that she's like, this is an abomination. Even I'm upset with this because, like you said, of the backlash that we're going to get. It would be like if we had a Christian president that was like, oh yeah, we're going to Martin Luther King Day. We're going to make that Christian Visibility Day or something like that. It's like, what? Why are you doing that? Because then every Christian on the world would be like, you hate black people. And it's like, whoa, dude, like, easy. Right. So it's, maybe not to that, maybe that's a little bit hyperbolic, but that is what this feels like.
I mean, it's not off base in terms of the kind of resonance that it carries.
Right.
Maybe I wouldn't say Christian, but you have all these people that are like, oh, where's the white representation week or month or day or whatever. If you did that on like Martin Luther King Day, then you'd get some,
like having an Antifa celebration on 4th of July. But we'll see what happens. I'm waiting for it to happen.
This could also be a very real possibility. I mean, that is what this administration has done, is just divide until until these people have each other at our throats, creating civil war, creating the next Deus Vult, creating the next crusade. I've got my helmet. You know what I mean? It's like, we're almost there, but let me read just a few more of these, just to get a sense of how Christians are responding to this. Jack Poso says, one side worships Christ, celebrates Easter, and honors the fallen police. One side worships transgenderism and honors criminals. It's just that simple. Benny Johnson says, no Christian can ever justify voting Democrats again. You don't have to vote Republican, but voting for Democrats is voting for the destruction of your faith. It's heretical, immoral, and evil. So yeah, man, the response, the outpour from individuals that are standing up against this or talking about this, they are very bold and speaking out. Jack Poso again says, quote, stop saying Christ is king. Don't get upset Easter has been declared the trans day of rage. Be a good little conservative. Do nothing. Watch as our country is taken from you before your eyes. Well, so people are yeah.
Yeah, and you talked about how people are just gonna finally say enough is enough, and I think that's where we are. I mean, as conservatives, we've watched our country slowly get ripped away, and as Christians, as well on a separate scale, but also similarly, just year after year after year after year, and there were so many moments where I think we just stayed quiet as a attempt to, I don't want to say necessarily be respectful, but to be respectful and be like, okay, look, it's a free country. You can believe what you want to believe. You can do what you want to do. But when it starts coming at the expense of others, then it's no longer a situation of you can live your life and do what you want to do. You're now impacting other individuals to a degree, causing harm to other individuals. And that's where I think you cross a line. And I think you're finally seeing enough conservatives be like, screw this. I'm done. I'm not going to stay quiet anymore. I'm going to say what's on my mind. I'm going to act out. And if you keep pushing hard enough, they're going to push back even harder. So
now you're talking about violence. Do you think words are violence?
No,
I'm doing a segue here. So
no, I figured.
No, silence is violence.
I was about to say, but silence is violence.
Okay. What do you think about the words? If you're not silent about your faith and you're open about your faith, if you say something to the effect of "Christ is King," do you find that offensive? Do you think others might find that offensive?
No.
I mean, I think others might disagree with it, and that's fine. Because if you say Allah is king, I'd be like, okay, good for you. Yeah, and guess what? I move on with my day.
Yeah. Or if you're Jewish and you say Jesus is only a prophet, it's like, okay, that's your belief. That's your mindset. Okay.
Right. And to me, it's not offensive. I know for a lot of Christians, it's sad, right? Because we all want the children of God to find Christ. We've seen Jesus move in our lives so much, and we've seen the good that he can do for us and for others, that there's this sense of like, man, I wish everyone could be saved, and we can't change the hearts of people. That's only something that God can do, but we can at least try and be vessels and lights to other people. But so I never really understood being offended by it. But I can see people being saddened by it. But apparently, I think because of the things that are going on in the Middle East right now, you have a large group of individuals on the Daily Wire and also on Twitter proclaiming that the Christ is King mantra of the Christian faith is now offensive and anti-Semitic towards Jewish people. But let me go ahead and introduce one of our esteemed guests. Last time I think we had him on here, I was turning 30 and I had short shorts on.
Well, he popped in for the Lord of the Rings, I think.
Oh, that's
Josh
right.
is right. Josh is
right. Yeah.
Hey.
What am I thinking? Yeah, you came to the aid of Gondor. When Gondor called for aid, you came as the Rohirrim. But good to see you again, man. Thanks for being here.
Yeah, last time we were together, spears were shaken and shields were shattered, and I'm kind of feeling like the same mood today about this topic, but don't let me interrupt. Thanks for having me on.
No, you're not interrupting at all, man. We're just happy to have you, and even if it's just for a little bit, we know you've got you always tend to have great takes on this stuff, and you're always able to articulate your points really
Mm-hmm.
well. And with this stuff, with the things that we've been seeing happen within the past week, with this Christ is King proclamation stuff, with the Trans Day of Visibility stuff, on Holy Week, it seems very intentional. But what's been your take on all of this?
Well, first of all, I apologize. I jumped into your stream probably 10 minutes to watch before I commented. And I want to, first of all, say thank you for doing this. This is something that YouTube doesn't want people to do, which is to tell everyone else, not just in the United States and Canada, but all of Western civilization, that you are not alone. As a matter of fact, you are in the overwhelming majority of 98% plus people who are adjacent to this, if not dead on the same target as what we're saying here. And that is the reason why we have to take a mental illness and enable it. And we have to create, did you guys go through that whole list of all the days of visibility and acknowledgement and victimhood and participation trophy days for being mentally ill? And deciding I'm going to chop this and sew this on or chop that off and wear that and wear this. And if you don't call me Sally, by God, you're a bigot. Did you guys look at all those days? Like out there on Twitter? Dude, look, I'll go find those and I'll shut up. But it's like, I didn't want to come on because I'm afraid I'm going to say something that anyone in a rational state of mind thinks every single day. But somehow we're being told that we can't say that. Because if we say that, then we're an hysterophobe. And it's crazy because, man, I was there. I remember the stuff in the 80s going on with HIV and AIDS and a lot. And like, I had gay friends in high school. Yeah, it's a shocker. We actually had, and Josh, you probably knew some people too that were gay besides yourself, right? I mean, in the 80s, right, dude? Like, we knew. And to hang out with those people, and it's like, we just want, everybody just wants equality. Don't kick the shit out of this person because they love somebody different than you. If they're an asshole, that's a whole different story. If they're a dick, if they're abusive, if they're a shithead, if they're causing violence to someone else, I'll go get my bat and we'll kick the shit out of them, but not because of their sexuality. And that's what I don't get about this. Now it's like they're walking around, oh, God, you hate me because I'm insert media created sexuality, which doesn't exist and is really actually mental illness. And it's like, if you, I think, and I'll shut up because I'm spurting out. But really what I think this is, and you're seeing this glory through utter miserable worthlessness. They, as an individual, if you can't even build a birdhouse, okay, you know what you can do? You can say, I'm Sally now. I'm going to wear a dress and chop this off and sew this on, and then I'm going to go in places that I don't belong if I was born a certain way. And if you got something to say about it, oh my God. And it's like, you can't build a birdhouse. You can't change a tire. You can't clean a rifle. You can't go fishing. You can't do a goddamn thing. But you know what you can do? You can get on social media and you can tell everybody what a fucking victim you are. And it's a never ending get out of jail fucking free card. I'm sorry if I swore too much. So
no,
it's okay. I've been trying not to swear and it's been throwing me off really bad.
Yeah,
I'm still glad you had me on. I'm sorry, dude. I'll shut up.
No.
Salty's like, have a good night, everyone. I'm out, and then just leave.
Yeah, I'm still in first gear, so I could ease it back. We could return to the airport. It's like I'm a Boeing airplane. Shit's just blowing off in the middle of the sky.
Oh no,
gonna make it. So
yeah, right. Well, everyone's stoked that everyone in the chat is stoked you're here, and we're thankful we were able to have you on the panel and everything. So, but yeah, man, no, I think you're, like you said, we were talking about righteous anger earlier, righteous fury. For a lot of people, this is what happens. It's been culminating. We've been saying. We've been turning the other cheek. We've been saying, listen, okay, maybe we'll accept this, or we'll understand this, or we'll deal with this, or we'll just put up with this. But now this is now the point where it's like enough, right? And people are just sick
it's just
and
getting
tired.
started, though. It's just getting
and
started. This is the
that's the
year of
scary thing. Yeah.
representation in all of entertainment. Remember, we had strong female girl bosses. We had the DEI inserts based upon sexual preference and based upon skin color and all these other things. This is the year. And Russell T Davies, of course, of Doctor Who, let everybody know about that, right? Like that entire show, Doctor Who now is going to be about that and about the allegory of that. And it's everywhere. It's literally everywhere. And how often have you seen, I don't know how far you guys want to get down onto this as far as the social contagion. I was reading some white papers from some ostracized psychologists talking about the profound impact of this on the 12. Sorry, I had some books fall over. On 12 to 17-year-old girls, and the profound social contagion that occurs when those girls, when one of them does it, and they see all the attention and validation they get, that they just want to do it. And it's disturbing. It's almost as disturbing and harmful as I don't know what words you use, but self-deletion, you know. And I sound like I'm old, but I just turned 54. And if you would have told me in the 80s, even in the 90s, guys, I would wake up in 2024 and this is what kids would be doing to themselves, and this is what movie studios and television studios would be doing. And instead of having a ridiculous Easter Bunny costume photo op on the White House lawn, okay, with maybe like a half-felt Bible verse that they didn't even mean, there are no military children that are allowed to put any religious symbolism, and we all know what religious symbolism we're talking about, right?
Yeah.
We all know what that one is. Like, no, you got to come and you get to hang out with all the, oh God, I got to be real careful about all the accurate terms that I can't say. The individuals who are pushing this holiday. And you can't talk about how important this day is, because it's a more important day than Christmas. It's more
really
important
is.
than the birthday, when Jesus was born. We can talk about that in pagan holidays. We can do all that stuff.
Sure.
But the resurrection is the most powerful holiday in the Christian calendar. It doesn't matter what flavor of Christian you are, Orthodox or Western or whatever. It's a very, very powerful holiday. I actually watched a cartoon that I remember seeing in the equivalent to Sunday school. They have it on YouTube. Like when I was a teeny little softy back in the 70s, when we had dinosaurs running around and we chased mammoths with sticks. It was like the 70s. But I watched that cartoon. It's that simple. And even if you don't believe it all, right? What is the lesson that you can take away from all of it? You know?
Well, it's interesting that you talk about, the birth of Christ, because even, I mean, almost every religion, I think some atheists don't believe that Jesus even existed. I think they see Jesus as more of like an Easter bunny or tooth fairy or like a mythological creature, but Jesus is a historical figure.
Yes. Yeah.
But it just depends on what religion you're in, because even Ben Shapiro, when we listen to him talk about it here, you'll see very clearly how Christ is seen within the Jewish faith. And like I said earlier, I do not find this offensive, because this is just what the Jewish people believe. But I think that there is sort of a double standard here when we get into kind of what that means for the term Christ is King. So let me play this clip real quick.
There you can make an argument that the Gospels, which were written,
he was just a prophet, and
right? No, we don't even believe he's a prophet.
What do you think he was? What do you guys think?
What do I think he was historically? I think he was a Jew who tried to lead a revolt against the Romans and got killed for his trouble, just like a lot of other.
No, just like a lot of other, like, so he says, I think he was some guy who led a revolt, who got crucified for his troubles. Just another.
It's interesting because I have friends who are Jewish, and I don't want to dox myself. My ex-wife was Jewish, although she converted. That's a long story. We're not getting into that.
Oh gosh.
So I actually used to go to temple with her because I'd never been, right? And I'd have some conversations with people, and we'd have some banter. And of course, I Christian, I respect, and understood some things. Shapiro's take on this is not one that I heard a lot of. And I think it's fascinating because I think, and again, this is ideal and starting to become an ideological conversation, right? I think Shapiro is Republican with a trademark owned by corporations. I think it started to become really obvious, in my opinion. Now, if that pisses some people off, that's okay. I mean, we can disagree. Like, I don't even think about this guy anymore. But I think we're starting to see him fall on that whole same side as Nikki Haley. I think it's the same kind of thinking behind that. And, I don't get this. Christ is king is now ist. When did that happen?
So,
I mean, I've been alive for 53 years. All right. The first fucking year. Okay. Not even in academic research in white papers during the height of political correctness of the 1990s. Okay. And what is that guy? Fourth Age. The guy who does the comic reviews does an excellent job. Excellent job talking about all this stuff in critical theory. Nobody ever in the heydays of like guilty white bitches back in the early 90s in college, none of them ever said anything like this. So this has got to be just, I don't know what this is. Like, I don't get it, like, at all. Did they say the same thing about a la peanut butter sandwiches guy? Just curious.
That's the thing. It's like any other religion, you can't show a picture, you can't say anything, you can't do this. And now we're starting to see, and of all weeks of Holy Week, you can't say this, now because it's deemed offensive. But I'll read some of this just for context. But I think the debate kicked off last week as the phrase "Christ is King" began trending on X ahead of Palm Sunday, the start of Holy Week for Christians worldwide. Two leading figures of the at the Daily Wire criticized how the phrase was being used in the run up to Holy Week. And I think what is happening is because of the things within the Middle East right now and the Jewish people that are in those countries, I think there's a lot of people are very sensitive to that right now, like especially now. And so I think because of that, they are very weary of the term. I'll continue. Andrew Clavin, the podcast host, which parted ways with Candace Owens following months of disagreement between her and Ben Shapiro and a controversial interview with a rabbi and her retweeting posts on social media that may be deemed anti-Semitic, said the phrase "Christ is King" and being used as an anti-Semitic attack. And I think that's where people thought, oh, Candace isn't just saying this and proclaiming this as her religion. She was saying it as an attack against a Jewish person. And that's where the whole thing began to start. And so there were plenty of tweets going back and forth between Jeremy Boring, who's the owner and CEO of Daily Wire and all this stuff, got rid of Candace Owens and whatnot. But that was, I think, the initial response, or the initial, that was what happened initially, is that Candace had said it in response to potentially Ben Shapiro. Clavin, who identifies as a Christian, added that while he believes Christ is King and Jesus Christ is his Lord and Savior, the phrase is being misused as an anti-Semitic crowd, by an anti-Semitic crowd who are misquoting Scripture. He doesn't disagree with its substance, only its intent. And I think that's why people are saying it. But the weird thing is that I've never heard it used in a debate or in an argument or against a Jewish person. So that's why, to me, it seems like, man, so can I even say that? Because even at my church this weekend, one of the songs that we sang was, was something to the effect of "Christ is King" or "Christ our Lord" or something within that same vein. And I'm looking around and I'm like, does anyone know that this is going on Twitter right now? That people are arguing over the fact that the very core essence of our faith is being, seen as potentially offensive. I don't know, but what did you guys hear about this? I think, Josh, did you say you didn't know about this until we talked about it? Or
yeah, I hadn't seen this until you sent the link right before the show, and I was confused by it because, and it goes back to what I said earlier. I know multiple Jewish people. My old neighbor that was my neighbor for 8 of the 10 years that I lived in Los Angeles, she was Jewish. If I made any reference to Christ being Lord and Savior or King, she didn't say anything. We even had religious conversations, and she would joke about how she would be like, "Oh, Christians, you guys are just a little extra. We're old school. We like the Old Testament. We leave it at that. And you took the new stuff. We're old school." So she would make jokes like that. But it was like we respected each other. We didn't down each other because of our faith. And if this was brought up because you had some asshole being an asshole, purposely saying stuff to be disrespectful, it goes right back to what Salty was saying.
Yeah.
It's an asshole being an asshole. Get mad at the asshole.
Doesn't matter what they look like, their color, their gender identification. Beat their ass. It's that simple. Like whatever excuses in front of that, like F around, find out. Like, and don't hide. Don't hide behind this bullshit. Okay. The world was a lot simpler. We just kicked their ass, and it's like, yeah, you're a little bitch. And it's like, you know what that did? Shame. I got my ass kicked because I'm a bitch. You know what I mean? Maybe if I'm a little bitch, I won't get my ass kicked. And if I don't get my ass kicked, then maybe I can have some self-respect. But you know what that is? That's now white supremacy, apparently.
Yeah, right. That's patriarchal toxic masculinity. Salty.
Bring it.
Yeah.
A poster child. Put me on the stamp. Yeah.
You need the graph behind you though. You need like the F around and then the find out. Dude, and so you can be like, all right, so if you go here on this graph.
Yes. A Venn diagram of how we reach this critical failure point. Here we go. Yes. I'm looking for all those holidays. That's what I've been on the background doing, Max, because you have to see this. So I'll be here. Well, just if I look distracted, that's what I'm looking for.
You know what I find really interesting is when I moved to LA, I took it as an opportunity to kind of engulf myself in different beliefs. And not that I was looking for a different belief. Like, I'm Christian. I've always been Christian. But I find people interesting, and I find learning about people interesting and entertaining. Maybe entertaining isn't the right word, but I made a point that if I met someone of a different belief than what I have, I would ask questions so I could understand. And I never once got offended. Now, if they wanted to make personal attacks, then I'd be like, all right, this isn't going anywhere. But a lot of times they wouldn't. They would talk about what they believe. They would ask questions. I would ask questions. And it was usually just pretty respectful. And I found that I typically would encounter we had more in common than opposed, despite our different religions or our different beliefs. And it blows my mind that we've moved to this age now where the automatic thing is, oh, you're different than I am. You think differently than I do. Oh, so you are attacking us. You're the enemy. And this was kind of alluded to earlier, and Drew's talked about this with writers when we talk about books and the lack of substance and media and comics and whatnot. But you got all these people that have never lived. They've never actually experienced any type of loss or heartfelt or any challenges. And, this idea that someone doesn't think the exact same way that they do is so damaging to their psyche and to their worldview that they lose their shit.
But there's another reason for that. And Josh, I mean, I've said it before, Max, you said it before. When you are not taught how to arrive at your own answer based on critical thinking, which is now the patriarchy, when you were rewarded for giving the answer that's expected, which is communism, you cannot reconcile someone having the wrong answer and then calmly having the wrong answer because you have the right answer. You don't know how you know it's the right answer, except you've been told that's the right answer. You don't know how to defend it. So when someone walks over to you and go, hey, dipshit, you know what? What you actually believe is entirely wrong. And here's the reasons why. 1, 2, 3, 4. You don't possess the ability to then rationally go through it critically and refute those points because you don't know why you believe what you do. You just believe it. You have to believe it. And that's why we get the spurgouts. That's absolutely why we get the spurgouts.
You know what's so funny about that is that I've watched debates on YouTube before where you'll get a person who is saying, spouting what they vehemently think that they believe, where they're like, this is truth. There's nothing other than this. And anyone else who believes otherwise is a bigot, is a homophobe, is a, Nazi, white supremacist, all the words, right? All the buzzwords. But then someone pushes back on that just a little bit and says, well, what about this? Right? Just very calmly and just kind of chips away at it and asks a question. and they freak out. They don't know what to do, because when you're given those answers, like you were saying, Salty, when you are corporately mandated or kind of programmed to, this is the new update or this is the new thing to say, you don't know how to come to that conclusion. So you'll see people on stream working through their heads and actually like, oh, wow. And they'll like, it's weird. Like something clicks and they're just like, you know, I don't know how to answer that. Right. And that's totally fine. But I think that's how we get to commonality, by asking those questions, and for people to say, you know what, you're right. I don't have the answer to that. That's when we can finally start to have conversations that further something. But right now we're not even having those conversations. We're just completely divided and pointing fingers at each other and going, you're this and you're in that, and we're not going to talk to each other. So, but you know who I will talk to is Derpy Hoggington. Yeah, for $5. Thank you, Derpy, so much for the $5. He says, happy Easter Sunday, gents. Helped at church Easter egg hunt. Oh, dude, that's awesome. That sounds amazing. 3,000 eggs gone in less than 3 minutes. My God. How many kids did you have hunting those eggs, man? That is so cool, though. He says, God bless y'all. P.S. Thank God for Kyle. Kyle's not here. You invoked the name of Keel? Come on. No, I'm kidding. God bless y'all. P.S. Thank God for Kyle. You know what? We thank God for him as well, and his beautiful family. He says, I got a problem. Yeah. You do, Derpy, but we know what, we love you for it all the same. So, but dude, once again, thank you so much for the $5. Really, I appreciate it. Happy Easter Sunday to you. He is risen, and always remember, Derpy, you got greatness in you, brother.
Come and get your wig split.
That was really loud at first.
Oh, was it? Oh, sorry. Yeah, I should probably. I thought StreamYards might fix the sound levels on here, but I'll probably have to do that in post or when I upload a different edit. Ben Cordwell says, I think Philippians 1:15-18 is a good one to read in regards to the Christ is King thing. Let me see if I can look that up, Ben, while we're having a conversation here as well, because I need to reread that. Jack says, the current trend I despise is when I bring up a topic or an individual, the mere mention of said thing has the other person telling me how I think instead of considering what I'm saying. Yeah. Man. Yeah. Just by saying like, that's like the joke I told you. Well, not the joke, because it actually happened, but I was in Vegas, and I said to a girl at the bar, I said, yeah, we're staying at the Trump Hotel. And just by saying Trump Hotel, she just shut down and was like, what? Why are you staying there? And I was like, what? I don't know. It's a beautiful hotel. You know what I mean? So it's just like, you can't even say the names of some of these people without having like a visceral reaction. So, but let's see. So yeah, if you guys want to talk about
I
this,
found that list. If you want to take it. There was this really good thing. And if anybody out there that follows me on Twitter knows what I'm talking about, it's this long ass list of all the LGBTQ plus IA holidays. It's a very long one. This one's a little more verbose. And so between cities, universities, and LGBTQ organizations, as well as government officials, there are 28 holidays related to trans.
Oh, wow.
In the United
States. Just trans individuals alone, 28?
Well, the International Asexuality Day. I know I go out and I buy cards for that every year. I don't know about you.
Oh, yeah. I see those you see those at your local CVS, yeah.
International Day of Pink. There's a lot of jokes I want to make about that. I happen to be a lot. I'm not even going to do that. Maybe if it was late night. Day of Silence. I wish we had more of those. The Harvey Milk Day.
I did not know that.
The
Okay.
pansexual and sorry.
Panromantic?
The pansexual panromantic awareness day. That one rolls off the tongue.
Yeah.
International Drag Day. Again, okay. There are entire months devoted to LGBTQ causes, including Pride Month in June.
Yep.
We also have LGBT History Month in October.
Yeah.
And Transgender Awareness Month.
So it is
Thanksgiving. All of November is Transgender Awareness Month.
Okay, so it is the entire month then.
Yeah.
I thought it was okay. Wow. All right. So, Josh, you can tell us this, right? What's the difference between Pride Month and LGBTQ Month?
Yeah,
dude, fuck if I know. Okay. Hey, you remember back in June when we were like, "What's this flag?" And I'm like, "I don't even know. I've never seen that freaking flag." So then I started looking into what this flag was, and I'm like, "Holy shit! There's like 36 different gay pride flags. This is fucking retarded." Look. You know, Salty was mentioning, friends that he had in high school. I had someone that I would consider a mentor when I moved to LA. It was a gentleman that was in his 60s. He was a gay man. And he made a point to make sure I understood what life was like for him growing up. And I appreciated that because it wasn't a chastising or preaching. It was just hey, don't take this for granted because my reality was this. And I cherish that I got to have that I'm going to get emotional. I cherish that I got to have that friendship with him before he passed away because it made me respect so much. And for me, that's what pride was always meant to be. These people that just wanted to be able to live a life of happiness and, not bother other people, not push their beliefs on other people, not go outside and do crazy, outrageous things like get fisted in the fucking street. Sorry, Salty, you may not understand that.
No, I understand it. I lived in Seattle for 4 years, dude. I know all about that, okay?
I meant why I'm saying it, because I got canceled by the gay community on Twitter. Anyways, but for me, it was understand that a lot of people lived a really hard life. To make sure you got the chance to just live your life. And to me, that's what pride was always supposed to be about. So now that you've got all this other bullshit that's out there, and then we're making these other days or weeks or months or whatever to serve as what that was supposed to have been, but now it's like, hey, how naked can you get and how much of your dick, your ass can you show without getting it? It's just all become so disgraceful. And I wish we could get back to just human aspect of just treat people with respect. Stop doing all these freaking dog and pony shows. We don't need these days. We don't need these flags. Just treat people with respect. And it's a two-way street. But
go ahead, Max. Sorry.
I was just going to say thank you for sharing that, Josh, because I know that wasn't easy. And I think that's what a lot of people forget is that pride used to be something that actually meant pride. Right? That you guys could take pride in the fact that so many people before you had created this legacy of men and women who actually had to fight for this, right? That to where we are now. And it devalues everything that came before it because it's become this perverted thing. And so, I can never speak as beautifully as you can on this, right? Because I've never been there. I've never experienced that. But so, sorry, go ahead.
I don't get emotional with the thought of pride. I got emotional talking about Tim because Tim passed away at the end of December, but it just.
But his sacrifice, though, right?
Yeah,
Tim's meaningfulness to you, and
the work that generation did
100%.
Yeah,
and I don't know how old Josh is. I'm 54. I think Josh. All right, you're gay, so I got to say you're probably not a day over 29. But it was nice. I remember it was 1987. I was in the deep South. I was a drama student, debate student. Okay. My drama teacher was a African-American guy, very gay. Everyone pretended that he wasn't, except when you went to his house and you barbecued, where there's this lovely show tunes gay black guy with his gay black roommate, and we're like they couldn't go out there and say it, right? And it's like they're sitting there talking about when they were in Broadway, and he used to come up to me and say, "You're such a sweet white boy. Don't go into theater. They're going to eat you alive. You're a pretty young thing." And it's the best goddamn advice I ever got in my life, right? Because I like dicks, right? But it's like they would talk about those stories a little bit. We would just hang out, I mean, and you understood, you judged people on were they cool? Were they smart? Were they competent? Did they know what they were talking about? And now, the more that you know, the less that you're capable, the more that you're capable, the more that you actually have something to share with the world. It is a threat to those people who have nothing more than imajoys. Have we reached this? Is this late stage Rome? Of Fall of Rome, where I'm going to be on here and I have a purple butterfly and I have a flag and somebody out there is hashtagging Gina Carano or something about the Acolyte, and oh my God, I'm so offended, and I'm going to burn something down, or I'm going to go into a school and do something despicable because I literally have no other value to offer society because I've been taught that. Now we're getting into a dark place and I'm trying to be careful, but I don't understand this. You have one life. Okay. You are only young once, fall in love. It's good. It's funny. Not everything was sunshine and roses in the 80s. Some of us grew up on welfare in abusive homes that weren't happy and were rejected by those people who should have took care of us. I'm sure there's a lot of people in chat who can relate to that for various reasons. But we didn't choose that path. We chose the path of I, as an individual, through my individual effort, am going to show that I, as an individual, can do something with my life. I'm going to prove everybody wrong by being a productive member of society, by being a success. And we live in this inverted Willy Wonka tunnel, in the chocolate factory where suddenly, and that's not a gay joke, Josh, sorry. But it's like, how did we get to this place where the more screwed up I am and the more shit I have stuck in my head and in my face and mutilated and drugs that I'm on, and the more miserable and incapable and just every single tick of a box I can get to be the biggest wimp, loser, moron, victim, like every diagnosis that is lauded, that somehow makes sense.
Well, I think, and to our point of talking about some of these days and the celebration of these months and these days and like all these, like you said, these participation trophies that are these people, or not to these people, but just to the people that have these holidays in general. It makes you say, okay, what holiday then is special? Who are the ones that are adding value to society? Shouldn't those people have a day? Because like Martin Luther King Day is absolutely justified. The man has done so much for
what they did to him. Look what they did to him, starting with Obama.
Right. And so you look at something like that, and it's like, that's a beautiful holiday. That's a good day for a good man that we thank, right? But now it's like, what are all these other holidays that devalue everything else? And for people who add nothing to society or add no value or weaponize their victimhood to attack other people. And that is what kind of concerns me, is that when we have all these days, it's like, do these days really feel justified or not? But I don't know. Yeah.
So I'll read you these and I'll get this crap off the screen. The Biden White House has created at least 7 other holidays celebrating and commemorating LGBT, and I guess they don't put the QAI anymore, but LGBT issues, including National Coming Out Day in October.
Okay.
Lesbian Day of Visibility in April.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay.
I just go on Pornhub and it's lesbian.
This is a Christian show, Salty. No,
it is.
Go on Netflix.
That's true. Willow, I'm looking at you. Disney Plus, I'm looking at you. Right. International Day Against Homophobia. That's big in the Middle East, I bet. It's really big in the Middle East. Transphobia. What the hell is biphobia?
I don't know. I'm the one that's like, there's no such thing.
Well, yeah, I don't
Problem
know.
being
That's
on here. Problem being, if you haven't watched him, he's a friend of mine in the UK, huge Doctor Who fan. He's at war with these people, these individuals, all day long because they're attacking him for being a Gen X gay guy who went through all of this stuff in the UK, and now he's got all these insert long lettered acronym coming after him and telling him that he's not gay. And this is a guy who went through a lot of shit in the UK in the 80s, you know, and now is having all these little shits come on social media and make up all kinds of stuff and deride him. I don't know. That's the stuff that bothers me. Pride Month is June. Spirit Day in October.
Oh,
what is that?
Josh, do you know what any of this shit means? I don't mean to put you in the hot seat.
I mean, look, I National Coming Out Day I've heard of. The rest of this I have not heard of. Spirit Day for me, like the only thing I can think of is when I was in school and you had Spirit Day, you wore your school colors.
That's right.
I had my
No,
Letterman's
that's right.
jacket. Yeah, I had my Letterman's jacket.
Or the Halloween store, the Spirit Halloween store.
That's right.
I was thinking that too.
Yeah.
Show your school spirit. Yeah.
Oh, but we're not done. There's Intersex Awareness Day in October,
which is like because what that's like 0.02% of the population, right?
Yeah.
Is that like hermaphrodites? Like I don't get it.
I think so. That's when you have both, right?
Now we've got Transgender Day of Remembrance in October. Is that the one where they talk about all the kids that went into schools and did stuff?
Yeah. Are we remembering all the people who committed crimes, or are we remembering
massacres? They're massacres.
Yeah, no, I shouldn't say.
And
crimes.
they wrote
that's
manifestos, or still haven't been released. But you know what? We can't talk about that. Can we? Can't talk
or are we remembering what was the two trans siblings, twins? I think maybe that the doctor kind of like gaslit them into thinking they were trans, but they weren't, and then they tried to detransition, and then I think they both ended up killing themselves.
Oh,
like the whole
in Minecraft. The whole
yes,
yeah.
Oh, sorry. Whoops, YouTube.
Like too much real.
The whole study
Google.
of gender identity is based on them to support.
Whoa.
Yeah.
I don't know if I remember hearing about. I need to read that because
Hold on, I'll find it.
Yeah,
okay.
It's interesting, and I'll shut up. But it's like, have you noticed all of these things in Europe either never took off? My brother's in Eastern Europe. Guess what? Guess what the percentage of people doing this in Europe is? I mean, like Eastern Europe. What about the UK? What did they just do? The NHS said you can't do this with kids. All right. But here in the United States, there's too much money to be made off of this. And I actually put all that data in a Doctor Who video I did because I was going hard.
Oh, wow.
And RTD. And that's one of those videos where I got like big numbers of views on because people were pissed, and rightfully so. But it's like, there's a reason why all this messaging is there, and that's because of all the money to be made. A lot of clinics were built. We're not talking about creating a new department. We're talking about new buildings. Those buildings are infrastructure. They require lots of software, lots of new devices, lots of new surgeons to staff them. Now, those buildings, guys, they're not going to pay for themselves without new patients. That's my take on this.
What's interesting is that you'll see even Jordan Peterson talking very openly about this on Twitter. I'd say that it's probably one of the things that he talks about almost. I see him talking about this more so than a lot of other issues, but he will call these people butchers and demons.
They are.
And he's very, very adamant about that.
They are.
Let me go ahead and read this though, because this was the verse that Ben Cordwell had us say, or suggested that we look up. So this is Philippians 1:15-18. ASV says, "Some indeed preach Christ, even of envy and strife, and some also of goodwill. The one do it of love, knowing that I am set for the defense of the gospel, but the other proclaim Christ of faction, not sincerely, thinking to raise up affliction for me in my bonds." Let me see if there's a better translation with NIV. "It is true that some preach Christ out of envy and rivalry, but others out of goodwill. The latter do so of love, knowing that I am here for the defense of the gospel. The former preached Christ out of selfish ambition, okay, not sincerely, supposing that they can stir up trouble for me while I'm in chains. But what does it matter? The important thing is that in every way, whether from false motives or true, Christ is preached, and because of this, I rejoice. That's interesting. Well, thank you for the suggestion, Ben. We appreciate that. So to get to our next thing, I wanted to show you guys. Josh has given us the circle of death.
It was all the homophobia coming from me.
Yeah, the verse just completely shut down his computer. But let me ask you, gentlemen, have you seen the movie Outlaw King? It's technically the sequel to Braveheart.
No, I've not heard of this.
Oh no! Oh really? Okay. It's actually pretty historically accurate. It is a beautifully done film, but I do have some issues with it, and we're going to get into that.
Does it
right
follow
now.
Robert the Bruce?
It does, and here he is himself. So this is Chris Pine playing Robert the Bruce.
Oh, this movie. Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Sorry.
I love it, man. I think it's gorgeous, and the armor and the weaponry and the scenery and the costume design is just like chef's kiss, moi. But Robert the Bruce was a very faithful man to Christ, to God. During this time in medieval era, Christ had really surfaced, like the religion of celebrating Christ had really surfaced through the Crusades, through England. I think Constantine had already preached about the gospel and things like this. So Christianity is at large. And so this was a scene from Outlaw King of Robert the Bruce speaking to his Scottish army before fighting the English.
I could talk about God, but he has no place where we are going.
I'm going to pause it just for copyright's sake so that YouTube doesn't strike it. But he says, I could talk about God, but he has no place for where we're going.
We fight for God, for honor, for country, for family, for yourselves. I do not care, so long as you fight!
So once again, he says, you can fight for God, home, country, yourselves, whatever you do. I just declare that you fight this day, right? Which to modern audiences may seem very bold and brave and, hey, great. But for Robert the Bruce, he was a much more, he was a man of faith, and these things would not be said on the battlefield. So
actually,
here is a history channel called History Buffs, and he kind of breaks down a little bit of what was probably actually said on that day on the battlefield, which I think is pretty cool.
Robert the Bruce probably did talk about God, and he almost certainly thought that of all places, God would be on the battlefield. As historian Stephen Spinks puts it, this is an age where purgatory and hell were as real as Stirling Castle, and if you lost a battle, it was because God was not on your side. Now, no speech actually survives from the Battle of Loudon Hill, but one from the later Battle of Bannockburn does. And in that, Roberts won't shut up about God. He's quoted to have said the following: "For us, the name of the Lord must be our hope of victory in battle. This is a day of rejoicing, the birthday of John the Baptist. With our Lord Jesus as commander, St. Andrew and the martyr St. Thomas shall fight today with the saints of Scotland for the honour and victory of their nation. If ye heartily repent for your sins, you will be victorious under God's command." Now, it's pretty...
That's pretty hard. That's pretty damn good.
I was about to say.
I mean, it's not Theoden. It doesn't roll off.
No.
But that is a hell of a good speech. I mean, just
and it's so, like, its core essence is in his faith and in God sustaining them through the day, through the battle. And then I think History Buffs says one other thing, but let me play the rest of the clip here.
Now, it's pretty clear that Outlaw King's speech was written to appeal to a more modern audience rather than to be historically authentic, which is understandable, I guess.
I think it's hilarious that he said a more modern audience for modern audiences. But yeah, no, I find it kind of shocking. Well, actually, you know what? Why do I find it shocking? I shouldn't find it shocking at all, considering that This is just Hollywood. This is how they are going to portray Christians. It's like, it's those little things like that where it's like Robert the Bruce to be accurately portrayed here, whether it's going to trigger people or not, or whether it's going to upset people or not, to effectively, accurately portray his character, he needs to tell that speech in a manner that represents his faith well. You know?
And within that time period, the masses and the holidays within the Christian faith were incredibly important. There were masses every other day and holy days and all this stuff throughout the year. It's not like it is now. There was Michaelmas and there were feasts of this, and John the Baptist was a lot more important than we give him credit for now. But back then it would have been very, very important, not to mention all the saints' days for all the different saints and the martyrs and all this other stuff. Those would have been very, very important days historically within the period. Unfortunately, we've now reached the point where it's like, hey, at least they put a Caucasian in the role of a native Scot. I mean, that's literally all we got now, is at least it's a white guy in Scotland in the 13th century, right?
You know, I would have actually laughed my ass off if it was a disabled black woman, a disabled lesbian black woman as Robert the Bruce.
In a wheelchair.
Like, in a wheelchair rolling around the mud
on top of the horse in a wheelchair. Yeah.
Yes, yeah. I mean, they are bold enough to do
we'll see it.
Yep.
We'll see it.
So you do have to give him credit for that. I you know what, that's a good point. I'll say, hey, at least they got Robert the Bruce's skin color right, and Chris Pine actually portrays him very, very well. Beautiful performance in the film, and historically fairly accurate, except for when it came to Robert's faith. Another film that we see this in is now people are going to get upset at me because I want to love this film. Believe me, Kingdom of Heaven by Ridley Scott.
Your favorite film.
My favorite film. Yeah. Ridley Scott might actually be my favorite filmmaker though, like storyteller, director. He's done Gladiator and Alien, and is maybe one of my favorite, like I said, directors of all time. He's a painter, he's a cinematographer. He just puts beautiful things on screen. But when it came to Kingdom of Heaven, it was one large shit. And I can't stand this film. I think it's terribly done, terribly acted, awful storytelling. The only good thing about it are the costume designs. But I wanted to show you guys the portrayal of what Christians look like, or Crusaders looked like, during the time of, or in Kingdom of Heaven's timeline, because it's completely different from what we will hear in, I'm going to read an excerpt from Defenders of the West, and we'll see who really were kind of like the savages during this period of time, but I'll play this clip. Notice the music. Oh, my thumbs up thing went off. Notice the soundtrack, the music, and how like kind of evil and brooding it makes these guys seem. And you'll notice one of the characters say they are armed. This caravan is armed. And the other one says, oh, well, that's good, because it wouldn't be good sport if they weren't armed. So here's some of the Crusaders about to attack an unarmed caravan of Saracens or Muslims.
This caravan is armed, Reynald.
Good. No sport otherwise.
They've seen us.
Oh, God.
Go after them. The rider is getting away.
So, pausing for copyright again. This actor is comically evil in the film. He is just generic evil man, bad guy. But let's get to the good part where they actually attack, and you'll see the viciousness of how they portray Crusaders. Once again, beautiful shots. The scenery is gorgeous, and I like the cinematography a lot. But I think what Ridley is trying to do is saying this is an unarmed caravan that was deemed an armed caravan by the Crusaders just because they wanted bloodshed. Blooded through them. They make these guys look like berserker Vikings in the like the Dark Ages, bro. Like, now don't get me wrong. There were some nasty crusaders out there. Like Richard the Lionheart was an absolute monster on the battlefield. He was like, they say he was somewhere between 6 foot to 6'5". He carried a big sword with him and would just like hack at people and would just turn them into two. But in righteous battle, not in this type of like, hey, we're just going to attack this innocent caravan. And once again, they after the aftermath is insinuating that they pretty much just rape and pillage, and this is one of the scenes there.
I am what I am. Someone has to be.
I do love the actor though. Brennan Gleeson?
Yeah, Brennan
I
Gleeson.
think his name is?
Yes. Good night, Cajun Corey, by the way.
Have a good night, Cajun. Thanks for being here, brother.
Corey, brother. But this stuff started. It didn't just start in 2015 with our entertainment. It dripped by drip by drip by drip by drip. Look at movies, even westerns, even from the 80s and 90s. Suddenly now we're colonizers. We're like anybody who came to the United States as a colonizer. Now we're talking about reparations. My family didn't even get off the boat until 1890. So you can go fuck yourself with that, because I'm Slavic. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So hey, just said to check over to Salty. We'll call it good too, right?
Slavic or Icelandic and Slavic are pretty much the same thing, right, Salty?
Well, you're writing comic books. Chomp. Do it like a chomp. Yeah.
You're the chomp for being on tonight with us, so we appreciate it.
But I mean, it's just that it didn't just start like in 2015. Right. It was Hollywood has always leaned left. Go back and watch MASH from the 1970s, 1980s. It was always that way. But not to this degree, and I mean, they can make the Crusaders look that way. Were there battles where they probably did that? Yeah, there were.
Sure.
There were also battles where the Muslim population did that too. Let's go ahead and look at what. Oh God, see, I don't even want to go down that historical. Look at the Moors did to Italy. We could do a lot of this. The Ottoman Empire. We could play that game too. We can look at Eastern Europe battling the Turks for forever. Yep. We could do all that stuff, or we can just live here right now, and we could say we're not going to make those same mistakes. Instead, what we're doing right now is they're doing all the same things that were really shitty in the 20th century and in centuries before, except now they're saying it's to save democracy, and now they're saying it's because I can't even wrap my head around this. Every single damn thing that was terrible and horrifying about the 20th century. The left is now doing in claiming that we deserve it. And it's like, okay, well, I don't get it. And I'm not making any sense with this. It's just these movies like this, you could see it. You could see it. And even going back to Thelma and Louise, everything is another drop in the bucket, another drop in the bucket. Before you know, you end up with a movie like The Marvels, or you end up with that. You end up with that Kristen Stewart. Is it gay, trans, that romance?
God, I don't even know.
Where they're two gay lovers who delete white people, and it's like a love story for teenagers, and it's like, yeah, go look at that one.
Is that the one that she did the?
No, I'm kidding.
No, it's the new one. That's the new one.
Is that the one that she was on the cover of Rolling Stone for?
Yeah, the one where she looks like Justin Bieber.
Yeah,
yeah.
If he were like drugged out.
Yeah. Right. And that is the thing that's so sad is that like, yes, Hollywood has always kind of done this, but it doesn't need to be that way, right? Like, and I think a lot of Christians just, I for lack of a better term, put up with it. Like we see that portrayal and we just go, yeah, whatever. right? Like, yeah, we're portrayed poorly, or another film that's going to say that we're, we've been the ones that are slaughtering millions, or we're the ones that, we're the most brutal, or we've persecuted the most, or we've been the most oppressive, or whatnot. And I think that we just put up with it. And then when you look at like Christian movies that are made by Christian studios, they're awful. They have no funding, they have no backing, they have no acting, they have no production, they have nothing. And so you watch it and you're like, "Leash, this is a Christian movie." It's like, damn, dude, what, could we get something like good that's like, that has some sort of Christian backing to it? But no, it seems to be that this is, like you said, Salty, something that's been going on for much longer than I've even been alive. But when you notice it, you begin to notice it everywhere, and it just really kind of ticks at you. But I was going to read this. So if you guys haven't checked out this book, Defenders of the West, I'm obsessed. I continue reading the Richard the Lionheart chapter because it's absolutely amazing. But this is from the first chapter where the author kind of talks about what happened with Christendom and what was going on in the early 300s. But he says precisely 300 years after Constantine's death, the Arabs who had recently unified under the banner of Islam conquered Jerusalem from the Eastern Roman Empire in 637. Thereafter, the Christians of the Holy Land were generation after generation, and that's quoted and cited in the book, persecuted to the point of slaughter and destruction, suffered at the hands of Muslim rulers.
Yes, and that still goes on right now. That still goes on to this day.
Yeah. So, and then I will not read this because it is too graphic. But I will say, if you guys do get a copy, in chapter 1, it talks about what the Muslim invaders, how they would defile the holy places in insurmountable ways and destroy them. And then also those who refused to propose that Allah was their God were subjected to various punishments and eventually killed. And as for the Christian women, and then it goes on to recount what one of the Muslims actually wrote. And it may be some of the most heinous acts I've ever, I can't speak them out loud because it is so heinous. So when you look at that stuff, you're like, if we were to portray that in a film, that's historically accurate, right? And yet we can never do that. We will never be able to do that. And I'm not saying, oh, we should definitely show how like evil and terrible these guys are. But at the same time, if you do want to portray history accurately, you have to show both sides. And that's what I think is a little bit unfair. But have you guys noticed any films like that, or have you seen anything like that where it makes you feel wrong, or it just makes you feel like, man, this just feels a little bit one-sided, Salty, I know that you were kind of mentioning some films back earlier that you had watched, but yeah, I don't know. I feel like I see it more often now, but Harley says, yeah, story time with Max.
Yeah, I mean, tell me a movie where there's a positive representation of someone who is a Christian.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, right. I like out there at all. There's a lot. I'm going to state the obvious. There's nothing to fucking watch that's come out in the last decade, okay? But going back and watching like older things like from the 40s, even Disney stuff like the 50s, a lot of their animation, looking at the symbolism of beautiful animated classics like Sleeping Beauty in particular, heavy Christian symbology in all of these Disney movies in one form or another. In looking at that, and then I'm going to take a leap here just because I'm a lunatic, and then I want to talk about what George Lucas did with Star Wars, because he was talking about myth and society and the myth and Joseph Campbell. I'm not going to refer to Christianity in a derogatory way. My journey to coming back to Christianity is complex because I grew up with a very religious family. Talked about it before. My father was a pastor. I rebelled very early for a lot of reasons because I saw the fallibility of humans in positions of power and how they abuse those positions of power. And I conflated that with Christianity.
Yep.
It takes a lot. It's one thing to say that when you're 50 something years old. It's another thing to grow up like that as a kid and watching the absolute hypocrisy in what little power does to little people, which explains Transnational Day of Awareness, right? I mean, it's like I'm going to stick it to somebody. I'm going to stick it to somebody, and that's really what this is I can't make something on my own because I'm a nutbag. I have to take something away from someone else. That's all that this is. That's all that shit like this is, announcing it before Easter. But I don't even know what the hell I was talking about. But coming back to Christianity, I came back and I've been slowly creeping back for a long time. But now, especially in the last 10 years, where I've gone back to, I'd always read the Bible among other religious texts from a criticism standpoint, and also looking at the stories and the commonalities. But now, like on Easter, I mean, I was looking through Matthew, I was looking through John, I was looking through all of the teachings. I was going back to, like I said, watching this thing from Sunday school, like when I was a kid, and understanding it's really a lot simpler than what we think it is, right? I mean, it's not the big mega church, it's not the Vatican, it's not Pope, whatever. It's not that. It is what is in this book. And then it's not about fighting. It's not about fighting about what this book says, what it means. Read the book. Read the book and you decide what it means, because I think we can all come to a basic understanding with this. There's no jihad in this book. Okay, there's no taking any of that stuff. If you want to get into the Old Testament stuff and have that conversation, it's disingenuous.
Yeah, it's
because
a little
Jesus
different, yeah.
came along and said, "I am the new way, and I am coming to replace all of this crazy shit with sacrificing goats and other stuff like that occurred in the New Testament." Right? So I love love God and love your neighbor like yourself, and then don't do all of these other terrible, shitty things. I mean, that's really what he said. Just be a good person. Honor your wife. Put only God in front of you. I mean, it's just really simple stuff. And if you look at all of what's going on right now, it is about as far away from that as possible. What doing and following Christian, and I would say Judeo principles, gets you is a high trust society. High trust society, you don't have to lock your door at night. It's the world I grew up in. We didn't lock our doors at night. We didn't lock our car doors at night. We left our bikes on our front yard, in our front yard. We slept with our windows open. I grew up with my own rifle in my room. I got my first firearm when I was 10.
That's cool.
We went and we used our firearms in elementary school. You could do that. Nothing happened. Like nobody did crazy things, And so I don't know. I mean, I look at this stuff and then for me, and I'm spurging out, and I'm sorry, dude. It's just, we live in a bizarro world. To see that this administration did this, like, was it 48 hours or 24 hours before Easter? Remember what they did at Christmas with the pedos on ice that they had in the White House with everything going on?
Yeah, and all the nutcrackers, or it was a Nutcracker Christmas thing.
Do you know that one of the individuals in that was arrested for underage things?
Oh no! Dude. Of course,
you do know that.
Of course,
that obviously that's not going to be in the media, but it is in the media. So they had to bury that, and then now they got to. I mean, again, you can't make this shit up. I don't know what world I woke up in. I don't know what this is. I'm not an old man. I'm Gen X. Corporate America has walked away from my generation. It's full of people who do and say whatever they're told. And you can see the results of that in Hollywood and finance and all these other things. But I just want to say to people, you're not crazy. The goal of all of this is to make you think that we are a minority, that there's just this tiny little sliver of straight white guys who we're just beating back the waves of enlightened feminists and people with stuff that is surgically stapled on, that are going to eat the bugs and live in pods and save the world from itself and all this other bullshit, because it's all interconnected. Okay. But we are the overwhelming majority by, again, over 95%. I don't know if you guys listen to Anthony Oliver or Oliver Anthony, that musician from
it sounds
Virginia.
Really familiar, yeah.
He's a Christian. He's the guy who did that Rich Men North of Richmond.
Oh yeah, that's
that
What
guy.
it was.
I was
I haven't heard of him since the song came out. But yeah, okay. Sorry,
just did a free live concert, and it was all for charity to help homeless vets in his hometown, because because the federal government's taken all that money away from the homeless veterans to give them to The guys who climb over those, we don't even have a wall anymore. They just come right in and get like EBT cards and Visa cards. But
dude, talk about the fall of Rome. I've been watching some documentaries on it, and for the most part, a lot of these documentaries, there's one commonality between all of them, because a lot of people say, oh, well, the fall of Rome happened gradually over the course of like 1,000 years. Some scholars say it happened overnight, and it was after the emperor was killed and all this stuff. And like, but one of the commonalities, the big commonalities with everything, was the bombardment of barbarians over Hadrian's Wall, and they took over the Roman capital by infiltrating Rome, like in mass immigration. So all I'm saying is that you know what I mean?
They taught it in high school and college, that literally, because the Romans were starving, because their money had been debased, because they had been such a soft society where their society and their men no longer needed to serve in the military. They hired people to come from other countries to do their military obligations. Their money had been debased because they were so full of vice, and they were so incapable of feeding or clothing or protecting themselves that they literally opened the gates of their own city to let the barbarians in, because it was a relief to them that someone would take care of them.
Yeah.
Absolutely undeniable parallel to what is going on right now. Absolutely undeniable. And then there's a bunch of us that like remember how it was, and nothing is ever perfect. Nothing is ever perfect. Right. But you know, some of us do know how to do things, right? Some of us have worked our asses off for a long time to try and do the right thing. You know, like some of us have really tried and gotten our asses handed to us, you know, and now I'll speak for myself. That's why I live in a small town in the middle of nowhere. I spend most of my time in the goddamn woods. Armed or not, you're not going to know until you find out. You know, like do fishing. That's it, you know? And it's like, I would love to help anybody who wants to help themselves, but I have learned the hard way. You cannot drag anyone kicking or screaming towards saving themselves from anything, whether it's a drug, whether it's alcohol, whether it's some other addiction. And now with this ideological thing, you cannot grab someone and shake them and say, look, they're destroying Tolkien, or look, they're destroying the dollar, or look, they're destroying our republic. If they don't fucking get it, they ain't gonna listen to anybody. They have got to come to it on their own. And if they don't, they don't. It just sucks because the rest of us are sitting there go, what the fuck is wrong with you? Like why would you want to live like this?
So Drew, let me ask you this then, because Salty, that's a great point, and here's the question I want to pose though. So if you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink, right? A lot of people will have to have their hearts or their minds or their something will have to change. Drew, do you see anything within our culture within the next maybe year to 5 years? Is there anything that could really, like, something big that could happen? Because every time I see something like, oh my God, this will get people to finally wake up, and it never does. And so I'm like, all right, well, what's the next thing? Can you think of anything that's like, what would have to be the biggest thing that could probably happen for people to be like, oh shit, like we're in a simulation? Or like, oh my gosh, okay, well, this is the fall of Rome, right?
Look, honestly, I hate to throw out this reference, but hopefully people in the chat are old enough to remember. I would say another September 11th. Honestly, I would think it would take another event like that.
Yeah.
Yep.
And
not a January 6th, quote unquote, September 11th. Not that.
Big difference.
I gotta say his name, but the fact that we know who it was, Max, and I told you he said like this was worse than this is a comic book store owner. He said that January 6th was worse than September 11th.
Oh,
like,
that dipshit! I listened to your show about that, and I was I want to go to my local fish market and pick up a nice big king salmon, one of the big ones, and I want to drive over to that guy's comic shop, and I want to take that fucking king salmon, and when I hit that guy with these big fucking fish, because maybe I'm going to help brain cells to work. Because what kind of bizarro dipshit more? That's what I'm talking about. Like, how do we live in the same fucking reality as that kind of a person? Sorry.
This is the guy who's relying upon a computer to write his comic books. Oh shit, I said that
that's
loud.
true.
Damn
Oh,
it.
there's a lot of those people, aren't there?
Oops. But yeah, I hate to say it, but it would take another massive tragic event to really get people to wake up.
Yeah.
Josh,
I worry.
I was going to
not
say,
even
Josh,
that
is there
will work.
anything that you can think of, or is that kind of on that level of where
No,
even like Gen Zers would be like, oh man.
No, I think it's going to take something of that level to because even if you think back to 9/11, we were starting to have like a split, a discourse, and for a while that really pulled people back in to have like a kind of a prideful stance as far as America like uniting. So I do think it would take something like that, and there's already this belief that we're kind of moving towards another civil war, and I don't think our civil war would be like the previous civil war. Just like look, this is kind of going on a tangent, but there's a lot of people going, oh my God, we're going to have a World War III. And then you have some people going, actually, we're kind of in World War III. It's just never going to be called World War III.
It started a long time ago, and it's been accelerating every day.
Yeah,
I mean, China, you never see in the news, China declared unconventional war on us during Clinton's first term. They reaffirmed that message last month in the China South Seas newspaper. They're saying we're going to escalate our demoralization campaign against the United States. So that is 100% true.
Yeah.
This is not Salty pulling stuff out of his ass.
Nope.
They're saying that.
There are CIA officers that deal with like anti-terrorist focuses, and they've even come out to say like, our number one concern should be China or is China. And two, there have been 3 or 4 that have gone on public interviews saying we are practically in World War III. It will just never be called that. And the only reason I reference that is because I think in many ways we're in the cusp of a civil war, or at least a civil disperse within our own country. Do I think we're gonna full on go to war between? No, but I think we will have different type of tactics that are really just going to cause separation.
Yeah, it's going to be the summer of love all over again. But if you think all those nationals from China, in the Middle East, in North Africa, that are all military age men, if you think they just
no
come over
families,
here,
single
just
men, no families,
go to the drive-in and buy iPhones, you're wrong. Like they're going to do some other stuff, and it's interesting that they're going primarily to blue cities. One will remember the summer of love and what happened in those same blue cities. Remember that? So it's going to be, I don't want any of this to become real, but if someone else has a rational explanation as to what happens, I mean, obviously they're going to be voting because nobody wants the current shit that's in place. So let's bring in the equivalent population of 16 states in the United States have come through our border. Okay.
Yep.
How is it racist to say that? Like how am I a racist to say maybe we shouldn't have people who don't live in this country? The equivalent population of 16 states just come in, and how do we still have a country? We don't,
Yeah. And what happens is, and I hear this all the time in the Christian sphere, is that people will continually say, and well, actually the atheists will say this a lot too, but they'll go, well, Jesus was a migrant. And what does that mean? What are you trying to say? Right? Like they're trying to say, well, you should be inclusive of all these military aged men coming over the border with zero ID, like no money. They're bringing, drugs over they're committing crimes, but hey, Jesus was a migrant, so you should be accepted. And it's like, it's that type of weaponizing of our faith that makes me so angry, because it's like, it puts Jesus's name into this, this ill-advised and this completely juxtaposed version of him, and it just, I don't know.
Yeah, every
it's
time
very
going to the Colts games, because I'm a Colts fan, but going to the stadium and you see like all the advertisements like Jesus did this, Jesus did that, .org, whatever. Like, there's something dirty about this. There's something very wrong about this.
Manipulative,
monetizing Christ.
Yeah, that's it too. It's manipulative, and it's monetizing it. Even during the Super Bowl, they had that ad that was like, Jesus washed the feet of all these people, and it's like a trans person and a white person washing the feet.
I'm glad I don't watch football anymore.
And I'm just like, okay, if that's what we're doing, all right. But they leave out, they never say that after Jesus forgave the prostitute, he said, go and sin no more, right? And I've said this before on live streams, and everyone's heard me say it, but he doesn't go, prostitute, keep selling your butthole on OnlyFans.
Yeah, sex worker.
Yeah, right. Yeah. He's like, you know what? You are my daughter, you are my child, but go and sin no more. And that's the beauty of it. But yeah. And happy Easter, Steph. Thank you for being here. We love you. Good to see you. Sorry.
By that same thinking, if we're going to play this half-wit sophomore logic thing, a xenomorph would be an alien too, an illegal alien on a planet. A xenomorph like from the movie Aliens, the one that hatches and that gets in you, incubates, and then uses you as a host to then turn itself into something that ends up killing the host that it resided in and attacking everything else around it, which is exactly what's gone on in Sweden, which is exactly what's gone on in all of Europe under the EU. Look at the crime numbers in Germany, 80% of the violent crimes, including rape. Guess who does them?
Yep.
We're gonna reach that same point. It's happening in the UK. It's happening in France.
It's happening I was supposed to go to Ireland in August, and I'm not going anymore because I'd be going by myself.
Yeah.
And there's all these, which you don't really hear about it too much here, but if you look it up, it's out there. All these people are getting attacked.
The gay people, they're attacking gay kids in the UK, but it doesn't get reported on, dude.
Yep. There was a woman that was attacked in Ireland by, we'll just say migrants that moved to Ireland because she was white. They stripped the clothes off of her and beat her in the street. So,
Are they allowed to believe what they want to believe? Yes. They can go do that in wherever they came from.
Yep.
The reason why wherever they came from sucks is because they do that there. It's a really simple equation, right?
Yep.
When you bring that shit that wrecks another country and keeps it in the third world forever, where women are treated like property and sexually mutilated, and there's all these terrible crimes, when you take them out of that situation and bring them into a high trust society, which are usually Christian ones, okay? You drop them in the middle where they don't speak the language, and then you let them do whatever crimes they want. What do we think is going to happen? What I just said, absolutely nothing racist about it. This is a sociological and economic perspective of realities.
Yep.
The problem is the left is using language against us where we talk about realities, and then what do? They put us on our back foot by saying you're a racist. No, what I am is I'm talking about sociology and I'm talking about economics. Why the United States was successful? It was a melting pot.
Look at Martha's
here.
Yep.
They wanted to be American, but they also wanted to be Ethiopian, Polish, Irish, German, all those other things. They kept their heritage. They went to their churches, but they wanted to be Americans and respect our laws. And they were very proud of being an American. That is all changed now, where America is terrible and where the devil and capitalism shit and all this other stuff. Now, apparently, again, the disconnect I'm having with this is if the Sudan is such a shining paragon of success, why are you coming over here to turn this really high trust, affluent place where we have all this spare money, or at least you should give you free shit? Why do you want to turn it into the place that you just came from, which is a third world shithole? This is a legitimate question. It's a rhetorical one.
Listen up, Californians moving to Texas. He's talking about you too.
I saw it when I was there.
Who said that? Was that for me?
It was.
Is that God?
Texas was not the first time. People did this when they moved from New York down to North Carolina.
Oh yeah, no, I was.
And I saw it in the 80s and the 90s. All the people coming down from New England and the Mid-Atlantic states down to North Carolina, Virginia, South Carolina, Georgia. All this stuff has happened before. Now it's a lot more pronounced because I think all of the people who fled Oregon and Washington and California, like we're kind of the diehards, and they're like, I think they're still holding on to that. Well, maybe if I just vote for Nikki Haley, like everything's going to be okay. That kind of delusion. But
Harley, if you're wondering if I look at your chats and wonder if I want to show them, but then reconsider it due to YouTube censorship, that's 100% accurate. That is 100% why.
He's only talking about people that pick grapes. Like, come on.
Oh, you know you're.
Is this a gay thing, Josh?
Oh, that's what it was. So they're grape enthusiasts. So they enjoy wine and things like that. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, never mind. Then that's totally fine. That's YouTube friendly. So
should I leave so you guys could talk about comic books and something happy, or like because I don't.
I mean, this was the topic for tonight. So,
all right.
Comics and happy. What?
Yeah, right.
You mentioned the how the left is using language to kind of like attack the right when they're talking about just basic economics and social structures and what we can and can't handle. And a prime example of this and them kind of like having to own up to their own bullshit is when we sent people to Martha's Vineyard, when we sent, and then suddenly they're like, oh no, you can't bring them here. We don't have the resources for it. Well, no shit, Sherlock. And suddenly you're the racist now.
Yeah. That was, sorry, go ahead, Josh.
No, I was talking over Josh a little bit. I was just going to say, it's funny how I'd never considered myself to be a conservative ever in my life. Even now, I don't think I'm a conservative.
Same.
Like at all. I mean, I have a picture of Thomas Jefferson over there. Now apparently Thomas Jefferson's a fucking racist, right? I have another picture of Teddy Roosevelt over there. Teddy Roosevelt,
Teddy.
Greatest conservationist, I think, in the Western world, one could argue, for preventing big transnational corporations from literally destroying all of the beauty in North America, at least in the United States. I mean, I don't know what you devil Canadians did up there, but created the national park system. Like Thomas Jefferson, I mean, classical liberal. Okay, that is now. I'm now all right. I don't get it, and now we're in this bizarro place where unless you're literally standing in Red Square with your Mao's little red book, and going through every tenet of American Maoism, because what's all woke is. Woke is just westernized Maoist doctrine incorporated in every element of our society. And someday maybe the big YouTubers will pick that up and run with it. But that's where we're at. It's all just communism. It sounds dumb, but that's all that it is. And the question is why do these large corporations like Disney and Warner Brothers, why do they keep doing this? Because they have to, because they got in bed with these assholes. And if they jerk around, the interest rates they're paying on all their debt is going to go through the roof. So it is a self-deletion pact. It's not going to change. The only reason things seem to have slowed down a little bit is because this is an election year. I think a real barometer, if somehow through the grace of God, if Nelson Peltz and Rizzullo, whoever it is, the second guy, if those two guys get on the Disney board, I will have 1 ounce of optimism for the future.
1% higher optimism. Yeah.
If that doesn't happen, keep buying physical media.
Dude, imagine what will happen during this election. Now, granted, I know a lot of people are saying they don't want either. They want Trump or Biden. But if we get another 4 years of the individual who just erased Easter,
Barack Obama, it'll be his 4th term.
Oh, well, yeah, no, actually, that's a good, because we know Biden's not actually, he's a puppet. Yeah. Josh, you brought up a good point earlier, and we'll kind of finish with this last topic, but you'd brought up the kind of World War III and that we're kind of already in it now, and that we may not even realize it or recognize it. I thought it was kind of interesting, speaking of the Roman Empire that we talked about, Rome, and there are different scholars who talk about this and different historians who talk about it, but they were saying that Romans didn't realize that Rome was falling until it was already gone.
Oh yeah.
Like during the period of time that all of this was just being erased, they were like, what's going on, right? Until it was finally like they didn't even realize that that was the case. But yeah, sorry, go ahead, Josh.
I mean, we're in some ways we've already fallen behind China. There
Yeah.
is no argument there. Factually, it's happening, and I think that's unfortunately going to be our situation. You were talking about pretty much immigrants coming in and how that caused the downfall in Rome. If you look at countries that were dominant and then they had a fall, there's another trend here too, where a lot of those what? Yeah, a lot of those countries got obsessed with identity, and then that was part of their a part of their fall. And it's just like we have history for a reason to hopefully learn from it, and we don't. Well, some of us do, but we just watch this pattern of all these nations that are great and then just crumble, and it's always the same shit.
It's always the same. Camille Paglia. I believe she was a second wave feminist, like in the 60s. All right. Running around with Gloria Steinem, the women who actually tried to get equality, because, like men and women should be treated equally. Okay. So blew past that, right. A long time ago. And then now Camille Paglia, who actually brought that change, is being derided and attacked just like J.K. Rowling. And she's a professor.
Yeah.
Camille Paglia, look up all the literature that she's actually done that benefited women in society. Did I freeze up? I froze up, didn't I?
Oh, yeah, I guess you're frozen.
Oh, God, I got
You might have to turn your camera on and off again, or off and on. I don't know.
I got a force.
Oh
no, we lost.
Oh no.
Well, you know what? You know who it was? It was Soros. Soros took out Selfie.
What a shame.
What were you going to say? Yeah, that too.
I don't. I was going to kind of go slightly off topic for a second, because we were talking about, is there any media out there that has the take on Christianity? And I would just remind people there is a push right now to try to get decent quality stuff out there. You got the TV show The Chosen, which Jonathan.
Very well done,
is on, and he had another movie that he did called The Jesus Revolution. You had the film I Can Only Imagine came out that did so much better. What was the hold on, Sound of Freedom, which had some very minor semblances of Christianity in there, at least from the lead character standpoint. So there's stuff out there, and the only thing I would say is that if you feel like there's a need for this, you have to go support those things. And I get that sometimes Christian media isn't always the best, but lately they've been delivering some solid efforts. So
absolutely, brother. My parents are obsessed with The Chosen, and I've seen some of those episodes, and I gotta say the production value on it looks really, really like well done. It's not anything to I mean, granted, it probably looks better than some Netflix shows even, but with that and Sound of Freedom,
same.
Yeah, that's cool. And they just came out with a one where a female lead is taking the role. I forget her name, but I think Angel Studios is making some waves, and that would be really cool. I wonder if they would ever go into, hey, let's look at the character of, Robert the Bruce or Richard the Lionheart or El Cid or Duke Godfrey, right? Like all these Christian warriors, like during the Crusades. I wonder if they would ever go with that, or if they're just trying to do biblical, characters. I don't know.
We did
either way,
I think. We did have a question that was brought up a couple of times earlier, and I don't know if you guys got to it while I was out. But it was, what are our thoughts on the Da Vinci Code? Did y'all talk about that at all?
No, we didn't get a chance to. Have you watched that film?
Yeah, I mean, the film, the book. I will say holistically, I don't mind it. I think there are aspects of it that I'm like, but as far as there being stuff involving Christianity that we aren't aware of, I mean, all you have to do is look at the fact that there are books of the Bible that aren't in the Bible. Like the Vatican is sitting on books of the Bible that's just not currently in our Bible. So the fact that there are things that we don't know, absolutely. I don't think that's that far of a stretch to go like, oh my God, this is earth shattering.
I have not seen the film nor read the. What I was almost about to say, read the movie, read the book. So I don't know what it's in reference to, but man, yeah, there's so much about theology that I am just not sure of. That, yeah. Sorry, go ahead, Drew.
So I was going to say, like, you want to talk about like some Easter things we do as a family. One thing we've done the last couple of years, speaking of the Da Vinci Code, is we watch South Park. One of the great episodes of South Park. There was I think Josh knows what I'm talking about. There's a great episode that makes fun of the Da Vinci Code, where they're with this old man, and there's this group called the Hair Club for Men, but it's the HARE.
Oh, that's right. Yes, the Easter eggs on the That's right.
Yeah, they're protecting that Saint Peter was actually Peter Rabbit, and it's like look closely here. Look even closer. Look even closer. Here. Yeah, it's actually Peter Rabbit, Saint Peter.
Oh, yeah, that's hilarious. Yeah, look closely. That was a very good episode. That was really funny. I enjoyed that. But well, unfortunately, I haven't heard from Salty, but you know what we'll do? We will end on this last topic because I pretty much covered all that I wanted to in terms of the Easter Sunday type of Christian and religious topics. And we thank Salty for coming out here and hanging with us for a little bit. But there is some comic news that I do want to talk about because this is pretty recent and it's fairly interesting. Former Marvel comic artist John Malin alleges that C2E2 convention canceled him, Shane Davis, and Ethan Van Sciver over nebulous offensive, quote unquote, comments. Now, this article kind of goes into what happened, but I figure why read the article when we can listen to Shane Davis himself speak about what actually happened. So I'm going to play a little bit of this clip. But Josh and Drew, did you guys hear about this, or have you heard anything about this, or no?
Yeah, I've heard about it and I've seen the clip. So,
oh, you have? Oh, okay.
I have not seen the clip. I heard about it. I have not seen the clip.
Yeah, I have thoughts, and this isn't too far off from kind of what we've been discussing to some degree already tonight. So, not necessarily with Christianity, but just
yeah, sure, with just cancellation in general, right?
Yep.
So, yeah, I'll play a little bit of this and we'll kind of EFAP it. Oh, there we go.
Hello, guys. I am Shane Davis, 20-year comic book veteran with John Lynn. And guess what, guys? Cancel culture strikes again. Here we are today. And I guess in this situation, am on the wrong end of the cancel stick. As we were supposed to, Nine Lives Comics had applied. Me and John Malin had approached Reed for C2E2 and other cons, too, to get an exhibitor booth. Nine Lives Comics was going to put Starlight Cats and Glorious Rex, books like Graveyard Shift and Godlike up on display. And of course,
so Salty,
I know all about this.
Oh, you do? Okay. Well,
I know all about
I'll just continue playing it.
I know I own Nine Lives Comics, so I know all about this. Yep.
And chat, for those of you guys who don't know what Nine Lives is, it is Shane Davis's publishing company where he makes he does Starlight Cats and Inglorious Rex, and he was going to buy a 20 by 20 table to seat himself, John Malin, and EVS, Ethan Van Sciver, to do kind of like to have a presence at C2E2. And they did this, I think Yanzi says, back in July, a year ago in 2023.
Yeah,
so.
and when you get boosts like that, you get like 11 badges, sometimes 20 badges. Yep. Like when I used to do trade shows, you got a number of badges. That certainly wasn't comic books. It was boring science shit. But you can do pretty much whatever you want. And it wasn't just EVS, it was also John Malin and some of the other people that I guess that run with this crowd. I'm not familiar with all of them. I just think that Shane Davis does great art and great comic books. So
yeah, he's an incredible illustrator. I think he needs an editor for his writing, but his illustrations are like some of my favorite within the Comicsgate like indie scene. So I'll continue to play a little bit more about what he says about the convention.
Ethan Van Sciver was one of the artists that was also included in this. Now, we're going to talk about this, but again, this is kind of a touchy subject, and I just got the email from them the other day. Now, we had applied for this way back when, Yanzi?
All right, so let me give a brief timeline to you guys. We spoke to a representative at Reed Exhibitions way back in July, all right, of 2023. We signed the paper.
By the way, I hate to be that guy, but can everyone understand her okay?
Yeah.
Yes, you racist. What are you
Wow,
talking
what
about?
a bigot.
because
It's
I know,
because she's Asian, isn't it, man?
Yeah.
because I know that for some, like if I have her on like 2 times speed, this is 1.25. If I have her on 2 times speed, it's not legible. So or I
Yeah.
can't even understand it. So,
Yeah.
but no, she's basically saying they talked to the exhibitors a year ago. So I know.
Yes,
racist.
Max, we can hear her. Next thing you're gonna be like, "Are you rooking? Are you rooking?"
It's not Max. We're not asking you to get in a car with her. We're just asking you to listen to what she has to say.
Oh, thank you. Okay, good.
I'll wear the
Paid for the
racist
booth
hat. It's fine.
in
Don't worry.
August.
Oh, good. All
And then we paid the deposit then as well. Now we paid the second half of the deposit in January this year. Now, throughout all this time, we've been receiving regular communications from them, just like any other exhibitor would, telling us things like, okay, these are the things you need to do as an exhibitor. Here's an exhibitor pamphlet, blah, blah, blah. Well, basically,
So they were like leading that. They were going, here's all the stuff you need to do. So like they were in direct contact with them the entire year. So until recently.
in every line of communication with them. And we were even invited to put up our company profile on their website, which you guys will have noticed has been taken down. Now, for about 2 whole weeks, our company profile set up there with Ethan, John Maynard, and Shane Davis all listed in there. And suddenly, for some reason, that's a problem.
So what first started off as an email that said, "Hey guys, we have to get on the phone." We're like, "Hey, can we keep this in email?" And they're like, "No, you have to call us." And we ended up with a phone call that was sort of spicy. We were being yelled at that we broke terms of service we were accused of subleasing.
Yeah, please, sorry.
So no. So I mean, I don't want to interrupt, but for context also, because Shane Davis resides in the state of North Carolina. Every state has different laws regarding consent for recording conversations.
Okay.
And he, in North Carolina, because a lot of these are business transactions that he can't always take notes from, or maybe there's a language barrier or something like that, his phone auto records every conversation and incoming call. And in North Carolina, there's only single consent. You as the person owning the landline.
Oh, wow.
So he has the entire conversation that occurs later that he's talking about. And he has receipts for everything that this con said and did and contradict themselves on. So bear all that in mind. Just
wow.
break up the popcorn. Break up the popcorn. Yeah.
I knew it was great to have you on because I didn't even know that.
I don't know why I know this shit.
Yeah.
I don't know where my keys are. I did remember to eat dinner tonight, but I know this. So yeah.
That's wild.
That,
all right.
that
well,
was that.
Yeah.
I was gonna say that news was so juicy. I'm sad that I don't have my Dune popcorn bucket.
I'm gonna get on mute and use mine over here for a while.
Yeah. I need to change my pants real quick.
I love Josh. We have to stream together soon.
No, Salty. No, you can't steal him either. I brought Josh on one of my shows, and then Zach stole him from me. Flaccid Phoenix stole him from me. Well, technically, yeah.
I feel like Salty and I.
We get in a lot of trouble. We can do it on my channel because YouTube hates me anyway. So
I was gonna say, I feel like politically, I think we're on the same.
Well, I want all you cats on. I would like. We should just like have a free-form discussion, and you guys can go absolutely ape shit because I don't care about the ramifications because I don't take YouTube seriously anymore. So yeah. Sorry, I'll shut up. Let's watch this. This is important shit.
Let's do it.
Yeah. Happy Easter, Stoneman. Thanks for being here, brother.
The booth, which we bought the booth. When you buy an exhibitor booth, you get 10 to 11 badges that come along with it, because if you're an exhibitor, you have to have people helping you manage the booth. It comes with it. That is the package. Every exhibitor, it gets at least 11 badges. And you can buy extras too, but 11 are handed to me. So, I mean, I'm not 11 people. Me and Yanzi are only 2. So those badges are going to go to other people. And Don Malin, we first approached them and we said, we're 2 LLCs. How do we build this? And we want this booth. And they're like, well, you need to get a 10 by 10 or you can get a 20 by 20, and you too put it together. And but for invoice reasons, we can only bill and list 1 LLC. This was how we were navigated to do this by representatives of the convention themselves. We were accused of subleasing, which obviously wasn't the case. We both, me and John, approached Reed and they said we could either get a 10 by 10 or if we wanted a 20 by 20, that we just sit in the same booth and they bill 1 company because they could only make the invoice out to 1 LLC. Again, that was mine. So this was never a problem before when we were just trying to hand them our money and
So
go
you guys
forward.
get that?
So they're basically saying that based on what
Like when you do conventions, you can buy a large convention space, like multiple booths, right? And I used to do this for scientific instrumentation. It's a quadruple setup, right? So you're taking up a big square. And
Yes.
sometimes we would share a corner with another scientific instrumentation company, and you can't have both names on the lease, especially when you're to have a billing and lighting and the Teamsters moving all your display shit in, right? So it's one company, one incorporated. That's who gets billed by the convention group. Okay, so that they followed the letter of the law exactly. Shane Davis's LLC, which I'm sure is the 9 Lives, was the one that they said, hey, we just need one name on it, then you can do whatever you want with it as long as you're not, sacrificing goats or whatever it is in the conventions.
Right, yeah.
So that's really what it's talking about with all this LLC stuff. There's no NDAs. That's a different thing. This is just an LLC. So yeah.
All right. Well, if I create an NDA, if I'm the creator of the NDA, can I speak about something without breaking my own NDA?
I think you have to get your PA on their PDA to check out the NDA. Otherwise, you're a POS, Max. That's what I think it is. So,
I think the POS.
Then you're SOL. That's exactly it. You're SOL if you don't check out the PDA.
There you
NDA.
go.
Yeah.
There you go. Thank you, Drew.
Gotta have a JOB if you want to be with me. Gotta have a JOB.
We are saying in the exhibitor description that we are showcasing both Ethan Mancave and John Millen, which I claim is a violation of agreement. But again, it's very weird. I believe that exhibitor booths usually have a lot of different guests coming in. Hey, guys, if you're an exhibitor booth, be careful. Apparently, you're not allowed guests anymore.
Yeah, so I guess they broke the terms of service once they put EVS and John Malin on their list. So
no,
and that's
they didn't. They're claiming that they did because they're trying to find a bitch way out of having these people here because they don't want them here. I mean, that's the reality of it.
It gets weirder because of they talk about the threats or intimidation and harassment, which is only a one-way street, and it's actually predictive crime. Like they just know you're going to bring people in here who are going to do something really terrible. And it's only going to be, EVS, John Malin, and that whole crew. Think about them what you want. The guys are talented artists, in my opinion. I don't own product from them. I own comic books from them, and they're really good comic books. So yeah.
It's not just content or product. It's comics. It's art. It's substance. It's entertainment. It's.
Are they obnoxious? They're obnoxious. Really talented.
And I have a whole I have a whole short box. Filled with nothing but EVS comics. Whole short box filled with stuff he's done.
Yeah. So they get into the, what if I'm harassed policy, harassment of any kind, including stalking, deliberate intimidation, unwelcome physical attention, physical assault, and battery will not be tolerated at C2E2. If it's illegal outside the if it's illegal outside the convention center, it's illegal inside the convention center. Harassment is grounds for removal from the convention without refunds, as well as potential legal action, blah, blah, blah. So Shane Davis and Yanzi were questioning, okay, what was our harassment, right? They want the receipts from C2E2 to tell them what was it that we did that we broke the agreement, or quote unquote broke the agreement of the harassment clause that had this happen. And C2E2, like you said, is predictively saying you are making people uncomfortable and therefore breaking the harassment policy, which is just cancellation. I mean, it's as simple as that. It is just straight up cancellation of a person or of multiple people. So, do you guys have anything to add to this before I ask my next question? Is there any other info that we missed or anything that you guys wanted to cover?
I think the only thing we kind of skipped over was, they were saying it was the sublease thing and that's why they couldn't be there. And I think we missed the conversation where they went back and were citing hey, we had conversations with y'all. We have the directions from y'all saying this is how we need to do this. This is we did exactly as you told. We've double checked it. So what's the real problem? And that's when it got into the whole harassment.
They talked to somebody else who then played the SJW legalese game and then became and again, this is Salty's interpretation, based upon what they said, which is they suddenly said, well, you should have known that because you associated with this comic book creator who has a YouTube channel who says things that people don't like and was fired from DC, and because you have this comic book creator who's another one who says things that people don't like, that of course you could not come and have them in your booth, which to me is it's like, what the hell is wrong with you? I mean, look at all those left-leaning comic book creators out there, and just that threatened violence, like came out and said they were going to hit this person or attack that person, not like metaphorically, but I'm going to see you and I'm going to kick your ass at this con. Like, they're fine. All those people, they're there. But again, this is the double standard of what formerly used to be the United States, where you are not judged on the action, you are prejudged upon your political views as to whether or not you can come and hang out with, Mags Visaggio and all those other people.
Oh God,
at this thing,
And so I would not be surprised if Mark Brooks made a little call, because he is scheduled to be one of the guests at this convention.
Oh, interesting. Well, Mark Brooks does show up. I mean,
real quick, little segue. He's brought up Max Visaggio. Shane Davis was supposed to be at New York Comic Con, I believe 2 or 3 years ago. He canceled at the last minute. Who took his booth to fill the spot when he couldn't make it? Max Visaggio.
Did she have
shit?
Did Max have the baseball bat tagging along?
Oh no!
I missed. I
didn't want to see
pink
and white and blue.
Yeah, of course.
Maybe I didn't get a chance to see it.
Oh man, gosh dang it! But no, you're right. So Mark Brooks, and granted, Josh, I think you and I spoke about this like a long time ago, back when this first came out, probably like a year ago or so. This was a nightmare of a stream. It was two grown men just kind of yelling at each other, but Mark did actually say something to the extent of, hey, I'm going to take all this weight that I've gained and I'm going to beat your ass at the next convention that I see you at, right? And it was just like, for us, we go, whatever. It's empty words, it's empty calories. Nothing's actually going to come of it, right? But if someone is actually saying that could be considered as harassment or seen as,
when was this video from, Max? Does it have a date? Was this 2020? I want to say this is like 2021. Was it? Okay. I thought this was like 2 or 3 years ago. Okay. All right.
Could have been. I think it's like a year or so ago. It was relatively recently, because Mark,
he didn't used to be that big.
A year.
Yeah.
He didn't used to be that big, because I know it's relatively within the last year or so that he's put on all that weight.
Right. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know the exact date, but I thought that it was like within the past year, but I could be wrong, because now everything just kind of blends together now. But so with all that being said, though, so this is kind of the scary notion of the fact that we're still not out of the whole Comicsgate, is violence and all this stuff, and that a major convention would cancel these guys. But now the question is, do we as independent creators and independent fans and YouTubers and entertainers and creators and all this stuff, do we go to C2E2, and do we, if we had tickets, do we go? Or do we completely boycott C2E2, bombard them with emails, call them out for their hypocrisy, try to get our tickets refunded? Because that's what I hear a lot of people are doing right now. Or do we go and try and have a good time by ourselves? Like I think Ethan was saying, what if we, for the people who did buy tickets, what if you guys go to the convention, have a good time, but Ethan, John, and Shane, we will get like a hotel convention, one of those convention little hotel things, and we'll do our own little fan con, right? And for you guys, we'll do that for us.
I would go to Chicago for that. Just to do that. I would burn some airline miles to fly on Boeing and probably crash and die because shit's falling off in the sky. Just to go to Chicago. And then I'd go see Nerdporial, because Nerdporial.
That's right. Nerdporial.
I would go for that.
Okay. What you're saying actually happened in Chicago about 3 years ago. There was a convention up in Northside Rosemont, the Northside Chicago, but we didn't know across the hall, across the street another hotel was holding another comic book convention at the same time, taking away from the actual crowd. And it's like, yeah, do that. Why not?
Yeah.
Rosemont is hell and gone. The only thing I remember about that is really expensive gas, and there's an IKEA there. So that's like the field. You can't really call it Chicago. It's more like Wisconsin light, like over the border into Illinois.
Okay.
So yeah,
I don't know. There's a part of me that's like, even if the guys were like, you know what, let's do something for the fans and let's have this kind of thing off to the side. If I paid tickets for C2E2, I would completely go scorched earth and I would try and get all of it refunded. I would because at that point it's like it's the principle of showing C2E2 just how much money they could potentially be losing off of this, but I don't know.
I don't think so. Here's the thing: if they decided to do that, I would actually go to Chicago and I would do that. Because I also like the Chicago Art Institute. And no, I'm not gay, Josh. So stop. But no, I mean, I would. But here's the thing. I think when you do that, you essentially create the perception of sub and other. That, you know what? I'm going to be in the parking lot with an open trunk selling counterfeit goods because X. Now, we all know it's not right. I believe this. And if they did this shit to Eric July's Ripperverse, I would feel the same way.
Yeah, sure.
If they did this to any independent comic creator who wasn't out there doing egregious things, and we all have a borderline of what an egregious thing, harming small children, animals, like all that stuff, right? This isn't like Pisker. That's a whole other conversation.
Oh yeah. Oh gosh.
Okay. But I think making your own con is the way to go. I do think these guys have been talking about that for 3 or 4 years and they haven't done it yet. So if it was me and I had that much talent, I would literally outsource to an event planner and say, make this shit happen. Like take it off the hands of the creatives and the artists and just say, all right, how much money are you willing to give us? If I have a budget of $5, $10, $20,000, giving it to an event planner whose job is to find when you all are available, what the best location is, what the best weekends are, and then present options to you. And is it financially feasible to do it? I would not eat the corn out of the shit of C2E2. That's just me. And I'm a gangster. Okay. I really wouldn't. I mean, fuck them. It sucks. And here's the thing. Once again, who suffers? Not EVS, not Shane Davis, not John Malin, the goddamn fans. Okay, again, our dick is caught in the revolving war of dipshits who are making ethical, ideological decisions for us that they gave themselves this right. Like, just do your fucking job and make sure the convention has running water, clean toilets, and the air conditioning works. We don't need you to be our communist commissars as to what our culture is and who our creatives are. We're educated consumers, and we will buy things that we judge based on quality and merit. I don't need a big brother. I'm 54 fucking years old. Sorry.
Salty, I'm sorry. I disagree. They need to create a safe space for me. I deserve a safe space.
North Korea is a safe space. How's that working out? You know what I mean?
I require, not only do I deserve, I require a safe space. And it is not safe until those men are gone. And therefore the C2E2. Oh, sorry, Josh has his hand up.
Point of privilege. If we could please refrain from using gendered language.
Excuse me, it's a point of personal privilege. So please, refrain from using incorrect language at our communist.
Yes.
Salty, did you see that clip the other night?
Oh no, I went to college with that in the 90s. Everything that you guys are seeing, I saw this bullshit 30 years ago, and you know what? We laughed at it then. And now here it is, and it's like everybody's pretending like, oh, I don't want to say anything because I don't want to be called a racist. It's like, you call me, go ahead. Fuck it, the world's on fire. You can call me you can call me Beverly. I don't care. It's like, I don't give a shit. Kiss my ass. This isn't working. Sorry.
Drew, are you gonna say something? Sorry.
I was just gonna say what's even worse is that in the Chicago Convention Center, all the bathrooms now are gender neutral. They're all gender neutral.
Oh, you can meet nags. You can meet nags then. That'll be awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, good. Wow.
I'm gonna make a joke. I'm gonna make a terrible
that's
joke.
Actually,
and I'm not gonna do it.
Well, okay, so we've all been to conventions, right? Josh, are you and I about to say the same thing, or are we on the same wavelength?
I will look. I was gonna say I'm gonna find whatever bathroom that the they thems are going into, and I'm gonna go blow that shit up. Not with the bomb. Not with the bomb, but I'll have Taco Bell beforehand.
With a nasty
Chipotle,
curd.
every meal of the day. Chipotle. Josh, you heard it here, folks. Stay away.
And demonetized. No,
I know. I was like, oh shit, I've gotta think about my words.
Oh my god.
No, I mean,
better words.
What's so? I was at WonderCon the other night, or the aftermath of WonderCon, and all I'm going to say is that a lot of these cosplayers are now gender neutral. So there are a lot of cosplayers that I'm not really sure if what their pronouns are or what they identify as. So in these nebulous bathrooms, it would look like, with all of these cosplayers and with a lot of people who tend to be more autistic at these conventions, right?
Artistic or autistic?
Both.
Okay.
Artistic autists or autistic artists. Yeah.
They're auteurs at autism.
Auteurs, yeah.
Okay, got it.
And you will most likely see a wide variety of individuals in that bathroom. So God knows if we'll ever be able to figure that one out. But Drew, how did you was the last time you were at C2E2? Is that how you knew about the bathroom thing?
Yeah, when I was there last year, for C2E2, I just saw a sign posted up on all of the bathrooms down. And you walk down, so all the bathrooms, if you've never been in there, you walk in, you have to go downstairs to the bathrooms, like in the middle of the convention center. And you walk down, it's like, then you see posted by the bathrooms, like, yep, gender neutral, gender neutral, gender neutral. It's like, okay, this is going to be interesting for some families. See what happens here.
That was going to be my very next comment, was the fact that you've got little kids, you've got little girls walking around that just want to see their favorite anime girl or their favorite Pokemon, or little boys that want to see Captain America. That's not cool. That's where I'm like, if it's an event for grown adults, fine. But when you start bringing the kids in, it's like, now we're done. Now we're not having this anymore, right? But
agreed.
Yeah, if I were a parent with a kid and I went to a public convention like this, and every bathroom was a gender neutral bathroom, you better believe I'd be finding those private handicap or quote unquote family
100%. The changing rooms, the ones that have the diaper changing flip down stations. Yep.
And that's where the kids would be going to use the bathroom, and I would either be going in with them or standing right there at the door. But it's like, I even try to think when I was little, a little kid, and we went out in public, if I needed to use the bathroom and I was with my mom, depending on, like, if I was like 3 or 4, she wouldn't let me, even the men's bathroom, she wouldn't let me just go into the men's bathroom on my own.
No.
She would take me into the women's bathroom and be like, close your eyes until we get to a stall, and then,
that's what mine did too in the 70s. Yep. It's the same thing. My grandmother would take me in, like when I'm 5 or 6, just because,
You can't leave a kid by himself when they're that young. You have to have that parental advisory. So,
no. But back then, it was the little kid who was going to do something terrible to the bathroom. that was the issue, not the pervs around every corner, which is actually the world we live in now.
I can't remember where it was in terms of state or like public location, but there's that video that's been all over Twitter of the black father who's letting his daughter go into the women's bathroom. And he's telling her, like, go use the bathroom. And she's like walking in and she's like hesitating. And he's like, go use the bathroom. And she's not moving. So he's like, hello. And then a guy walks around the corner from within the women's bathroom.
Oh,
like an adult male. Yeah. It's scary.
There was was it Colorado with that guy who has like hair shorter than mine, because I have really long hair. It's just he just a dude, not even wearing a dress and makeup. It's just some dude with long hair, and he looks like just imagine every soy confused individual under the age of 25. Right? He's just standing there with his phone, and he was recording women in the bathroom, and they were coming out, and these women are yelling at him, including mothers with children, and he's looking at them on the images he just took on his phone, and he's got this blank look, like, and he's like, what? Like, he's just looking at the pictures he just took in the bathroom.
Yeah.
In the 80s and 90s, that guy would have got the ever-living shit.
Oh, yeah.
And you know what the cops would have done?
Nothing.
Yeah.
Yep.
And there was a recent tweet by some sort of political figure where, because we've been seeing a lot of women recently being attacked on the streets of like big cities. They've been getting punched. And there was like a political figure that said, like, why are men doing nothing about this? Because you've put all those men in jail. The ones that have actually tried to help and fight back, the ones who are trying to righteously stand up to the evil that's been going on, the criminals that are constantly, being violent and aggressive. You're putting those same men in jail, and those people are voting for this.
And not only that, but like I used to love Seattle. There was a time when it was a fun city. It was a fun place. It was a long time ago. But there were people, and I would have conversations when they found out about, me and my Second Amendment and my political leanings, and then they called me baby killer and called me a Nazi and everything that. This is 12, 15 years ago now. Wow. All right, so see Seattle now, okay? Like Salty left a long time ago, but it's like, I mean, they would literally say these things like, "Don't you want someone to be armed? Like, what if someone broke in the house?" And it was my then girlfriend at the time. Don't you want to be protected? She's like, I would rather be raped than have you take a human life. And I said, you don't understand how this happens. Like, I would be deleted, okay? Yeah. And then you would be raped. Yeah. That wouldn't happen. That's like, so you would just want me to let him do that? Well, anything to prevent violence. And I was like, well, this relationship is going nowhere. So, adios. And I'll go pick up some other crazy hot chick off Plenty of Fish and have my illusions for a while I get it wet until I find out she's nuts too, right?
Well, but now you need...
Look at where we are. Look at where we
now
are
you
now.
Need two graphs, Salty. Now you need the crazy hot scale behind you, and you need the F around and find out scale behind
everything
you. So
in the last 5 years, dude. It's like, nah, I think I'm just gonna get a mail order bride from like Slovenia. All
Passport
right,
bros.
And I want to check the box that says mute. You know what I mean? And we'll just go. Can she cook? Is she kind of cute?
Come on,
let's go.
You need someone like you need someone like a Slavic Icelandic,
Adopt or die. Thanks for the heads up. Sweet dreams, chilled. You took that like a champ. It was meant to be a death blow.
I can't watch this shit and take it seriously.
That's the kind of woman you need.
No, I think a lot of people know this. I have bought European, so I am involved with somebody from Europe. So it's all good. So
okay.
Yeah.
Well, look at that.
And it's not Chomp Lady. All right, it's not.
Oh,
it's fine.
Okay.
It's fine. Yeah.
Well, with that said, I think we've gotten through all our topics, and I think we are gearing towards the end of the night. We're almost at 3 hours here, so I want to give a special thanks to Salty for being here on like total last notice, man. So thank you for hanging out with us tonight. I love those kind of impromptu, hey, you want to come on? And those are always a ton of fun. And thank you to the chat. You guys have been amazing tonight. Thank you for the super chats. Thank you for the support. And happy Easter to all of the lurkers, to all the chat, to all the viewers. We love you guys. We appreciate you guys so much for all that you do supporting us. And I hope that what we could bring to you guys tonight, kind of being a light and vocalizing some of the things that you guys may be feeling, but may not know how to say it or may not feel comfortable saying it. Hopefully that can be something that we can do and help you guys with. So like I said, happy Easter to you guys. And thank you for Drew and Josh for being my wingmen, my right hand men who are with me like every Sunday night. These guys without fail. So I love seeing you guys, and I love you guys always have the best input on stuff. So I really do appreciate it. Grateful for y'all, and I will stop being so sentimental and lame. And we will.
Bette Midler. The wind beneath my wings. That whole.
Yep. Or the Sarah McLachlan. Yeah, either one.
I will remember. Josh.
One little tear. Yeah.
Josh could do it.
One tear.
Yeah. But our outro tonight will be our. I'll repurpose the intro for those of you guys who didn't see it. It's a little loud, so if you guys need to crank your volume down a little bit, but it will motivate you into out of this holy weekend to profess your faith loudly, to stand firm in your faith, to embrace your legacy, and to reject modernity. Thank you guys once again. Happy Easter. He is risen, and it is finished. We'll see you guys next week. Take care.
The most well-attested, well-documented fact in all of ancient history is the resurrection of Jesus Christ.